All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Canadian Finals. Excuse me, the Canada Finals. I'm going to be your host, Veli, and right next to me we have Jacob, and also we have a Canadian resident of our own, Jesse. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Veli. It's happy to be here. You know, I woke up this morning. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel, but it feels right. There's frost out on the windows. I had some flapjacks with maple syrup this morning, so I feel good. It's the perfect day for the Canada Finals.
That was
come on,
flex,
you had
right?
to be so stereotypically Canadian. Also, by the way, I noticed that you and I accidentally are wearing a little bit too close of a shirt than I expected. I did check this in program before.
There's
but
nothing else to wear. It's the Canada Finals,
I mean,
Jacob.
I guess so, yeah. Are Veli and I both honorary Canadians for the day? Is that what's going on here?
I'll grant it to you. Sure.
Yes! Let's go.
Jacob, how you doing, man? Are you excited for today? By the way, this is your very first relegation game here in Tier 1. You feeling good about this?
Yeah, I'm feeling good about it. Relegations, regardless of what region they're in, are always really, really exciting because it shapes the future for what Tier 1 esports looks like in Rainbow Six for the course of literally the next year. I'm excited for it. This is a really, really interesting time of year, and I'm really, really happy to be back on the desk for it.
Right, so I asked you about relegations, but Jesse, we have a bigger game today. We have the finals to see who the best is in Canada. Is the world ready for this? Because I feel like Canada, we really haven't put it out in the forefront yet, and it's about time everybody sees the level of talent that's out here.
Absolutely, Veli. I mean, today we crowned the Kings of the North, and I think we have a matchup coming in that maybe looks one-sided on paper. Mirage have been dominant all year long, but Altiora are a very strong team with some tricks up their sleeves. Okay. So I think there's going to be a great game later on today, and people definitely need to stick around for that best of 5.
All right, so the best of 5 is going to be the second game today, but coming up next, we're going to have our relegation game. But before we jump into that even, let's hear a word from our sponsors. All right, welcome back. So today is going to be a special one, but up first we're going to have our relegation game. It's going to be Oblivion versus Nordik. Is going to be fantastic. And Jesse, you and Jacob know a lot about these teams. Actually, wait up, Jacob, you cover Challenger League a lot, don't you?
Yes, sir. Challenger League is my home base. It's my bread and butter, and it's really, really cool to be able to talk about one of these guys on the mainstream and exposure that they have only ever gotten one time. The last time you might have seen Oblivion on the Rainbow Six channel was in the Stage 1 finals against Honor Esports for the title of the best Canadian team in Challenger League, but that was for Stage 1. In Stage 2, things have changed up pretty darn drastically. A whole bunch of teams in CL make roster changes, as is their tendency to do, and this time Honor Esports is nowhere to be found. Instead, the best team overall through both Stage 1 and Stage 2 of Canadian Challenger League turned out to be Oblivion, and now they're back here fighting for a relegation spot.
I can't wait to see what happens with that. And like I said before we threw it over to the sponsors, we're going to have a best of 5 finals, so make sure you tune into that. That's going to be a heavy banger. That's going to be a heavy hitter. And matter of fact, if you all remember Flynn, the caster that we saw in Pro League out of this, we love Flynn. He's going to be in that matchup, but let's jump into the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about now the relegation game. It's going to be my first, which is why I'm excited. But let's break down the team. Starting off with Nordik. Jesse, you said something about them being a francophone team. What the hell does that even mean, man?
All right, well, apparently Americans don't tend to know this word. A francophone is just someone who speaks French. And Nordic are, as far as I'm aware, the only French-speaking roster, not only in the Canadian division, but also in Canadian Challenger League. So there's a lot of Quebec pride, I think, that they're bringing into this matchup. And really, I think that the Quebec scene, if we can keep it real for a second, is not necessarily the most respected sub-scene inside North America. I think that sometimes they get a little bit of too much hate. But the players in Nordic are really great guys. You know, there's some really polite players. I've met a lot of them on the LAN. I've talked to a lot of them in scheduling some of these Canadian games, and they're a really great bunch. So I think that they're definitely fighting for the pride of the region, and they're fighting to show that, you know, there's still a lot of talent inside of Quebec, and it really is a scene that maybe separates itself a little bit from the rest of North America, but they certainly have a lot to prove over there from the Frenchies.
Yeah, speaking about a lot to prove, now, Jacob, I'm going to turn to you for this one. They've pretty much they're having a fall from grace, so to say. You spoke a lot about how the players, they were standouts earlier on in the season, and now they're trying to get back to greatness. What's going on with them?
Well, if you're just looking at their placements in Stage 1, they were second overall. They only lost one game, and it was against Mirage, who would be the first place overall team in Stage 1. Mirage, obviously, the Canadian juggernauts. Within Canada, there really hasn't been anything that can touch them. So if you lose to Mirage, it's not the biggest deal in the world. Problem is, when you go from second in Stage 1 to dead last in Stage 2, there is obviously a massive difference. But what can really help contribute to that is a little bit more of a mystery. But if you're just looking at their stats from Stages 1 to 2, they have a whole bunch of players that are within like the top 5 to even top 10 in the Canadian division in Stage 1, and then you go to Stage 2, they're almost all near the bottom of the scoreboard. Only one player even within the top 10 that is able to help scrape together and really like carry their team. Everyone else has really fallen by the wayside, and it seems to suggest that there's something behind the scenes that just doesn't seem to be clicking nearly as well as they used to about 3 months ago.
All right, now let's talking about things clicking. Jesse, you know a lot about role changes that this team has been going through in order to get back, because like Jacob said, they were top 2, and now they're trying to shoot their way back up to being who they believe they are. What changes do you think are going to significantly benefit these players?
Yeah, so I sat down and had a chat with Grievous, one of the coaches of Nordik, a couple of days ago, and he talked to me about a couple of role changes. Now, there haven't been any roster moves for a long time on this team, but they have moved some players around. So S4, he used to be a little bit more aggressive. Now he's moving to some more of those passive roles, both on attack and on defense. He's their main IGL, and so they're hoping that this will let him just survive a little bit longer. He hasn't really been gunning. I think his aim is going by headshot percentage, the worst in the Canadian division, and that shows up in their matches as well. So I'm happy to see that he's stepping back a little bit. That's supposed to help him both with his calling and with staying alive. And then they've moved Skies to a more aggressive role, and supposedly this is going to help him frag a little bit more. This is going to help him get some more kills, which I think is good because Skies has a lot of that natural talent, but he really didn't show up in their most recent match against Livid. He ended up getting only 6 kills in 30 rounds. That's not enough. So if this change helps him frag more, if it helps S4 survive a little bit longer, it could be a really big benefit to Nordik.
Okay, now let's talk about the challengers. Let's talk about the boys on Oblivion. I can't wait. And Jesse, I'm going to come right back to you first. Now, there's a player on this team, and I don't use this word lightly, so the fact that you used it means a lot. You said Cabal is terrifying on entry. What makes him so scary, and why such a strong word, man?
I mean, Ashmains, he is one of the best. He's one of the, I think he was the Canadian MVP. His stats were incredible in the Canadian Challenger League. He had a 1.8 KD, plus 37 on the season, plus 11 of that on entry, and he never aced in the Canadian Challenger League season, but he got 4 separate 4Ks, which is really impressive to say, the very least. These stats collected by community members Perp and Smith, so thank you very much to those two gentlemen for collecting those numbers for me. But really, I mean, he dominated in Canadian Challenger League, and he is the player to watch in this matchup. I'd say there's nobody across any of these 10 players that really does match up to Cabal. If he has a cold day, could spell disaster for Oblivion, but he's the one you want to watch out for.
All right, so the maps are now going to be in, and they're going to show up at the bottom of our screen. And as we take a look, I mean, any of the experts that are out there, Jesse, Jacob, feel free to chime in. What can be strong points for either of these teams with the maps that you're going to see down below?
I mean, I think the big thing is that Oblivion haven't had to show too many maps so far this season because they have only played a couple of games and they've really tried to stick to the same map. So as we start to see the picks come in, it looks like Nordik are going to start off on Consulate. This is a map that both teams are undefeated on. Both teams played this the very first map of Stage 2, and they both won it, and they both haven't played it since. So this is going to be a relatively even match. It's the technically only map that Nordik are undefeated on, so it's a good pick for them so far. Then we see Clubhouse picked up by Oblivion. This one often has been the decider in matches for Oblivion in Challenger League, but they oftentimes just defeat teams way too quickly to get to that decider game. So Oblivion haven't actually shown this map at all. It should be a really exciting one to get to. And then Oregon. Oblivion lost this map in the grand finals of Stage 1 against Honor. It was 7-5, and since then they've played it in every single series in Challenger League and won it every single time. So this is a map that they're clearly comfortable on. Nordik, they most recently lost it against Altiora 7-3. So, I mean, maps in general are going to be better for Oblivion, but I think that they've come out relatively strong in this map pool.
All right, so those are the maps. This is where the teams are going to take battle today for our very first relegation game. Now, Jacob, this is where it gets fun. You already know the deal at this point. Prediction time. Who do you got? Who do you have winning this? This is going to be a big deal because winner is going to stay in Tier 1, and the loser, they're going to be out of it, and that's going to be big for Nordic. So who do you have winning this matchup?
There's two massive things that help contribute to my decision, Veli.
Okay.
It comes down to momentum and overall map selection. Momentum seems like it's on Oblivion's side, even though they have a couple of roster moves that they've made since they defeated PDHM in that Final Four Canadian Challenger League to make it to this match. However, they've been making roster changes the entirety of this season anyway, so I don't really know if that's going to hinder their performance that much. Okay. And Nordic is on a slide. If you place dead last in in the Canadian division and you have that bad of a performance, I'm already leaning more towards Oblivion. But the fact that we're heading to Oregon as our decider, if it requires a map 3, then I think this is an Oblivion win, because that is a map they are so good on. They played it every single series that they had the opportunity to in stage 2, and they won it every time in dominant fashion. Even if we don't need a map 3, I still think this is Oblivion's map to win all over the board, and they're gonna get this relegation in the bag, man. I think they're heading to the Canadian division for 2021.
So the Challenger League team is who you rocking with the way. That's major. So the players are currently ready, and we're about to throw it into the game. I know the chat's telling us to start it. Just wait up just a second. I want to ask you guys just one small favor before we jump into the game. Make sure you all follow our social pages for Rainbow Six. And, oh, excuse me, Jesse, I forgot about you, man.
Damn, I was going to say, did you leave him out of it? You're going to leave the Canadian out of predictions?
I'm sorry, man. Jesse, do you think the Challenger League team is going to make it as well?
Frankly, yeah, I gotta agree with Jacob. We'll go quick here because I know we gotta start this game. But yeah, Nordic have been a little bit weak in the Canadian division. Their defenses don't look great, and mentally this is gonna be a tough match for them. So Oblivion look pretty good. I'll choose them as well to win this matchup.
Oblivion for both of you. Okay, that's huge now. Back to the socials. I'm sorry about that. Make sure you stay in touch with everything that's happening in the Rainbow Six competitive universe, or follow our Twitter pages. The memes are great, the content is good, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The players are just about ready. I'm excited. I hope you all are excited at home. This is going to be the relegation match for our Canadian division, so it's going to be Oblivion versus Nordic. Casters, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Veli. It is indeed time, ladies and gentlemen, for us to jump into our first relegation match of the year here. Oblivion going up against Nordic. Oblivion coming up from the Challenger League, and Nordic potentially going down from the Canadian division itself. Stokes, really quickly here, what do you make of this matchup before we get ready to deep dive into the first map?
Oh man, I think our analyst did a great job on this one, John. I was going over the numbers last night, and this really is looking like it's falling into the lap of Oblivion. It's all on their shoulders to try and carry this through, get into the Canadian Pro League, and try and make something happen with this opportunity. For Nordic, they've been on a downhill slide for a while, but that doesn't mean that they can't battle back. There are still some opportunities here for them to be able to shut down Oblivion. It's just going to be kind of a difficult road ahead of them.
All right, guys, well, the players are ready, so there shouldn't be too much delay in getting things started here with their very first map on Consulate. This match is going to be excited for more than just the reasoning that it is a relegation match, though. Also have a new patch in play, which means a new meta. New operators coming into the fold as well. I got it confirmed a couple of minutes ago. Zero is allowed to be played in these relegations, on top of Echo, of course, now being back into the pool as well. Going to be a little bit longer on Aruni and Tachanka, because they're still new additions, so they're currently in the competitive quarantine. But regardless, we've got Sam Fisher in the battleground ready to potentially change things up here today, and we're going to see if that'll be the case. We've got the first bands coming out now, and it's going to be a Thatcher getting removed from Oblivion's pick.
The more things change, the more things stay the same. We're going to get rid of Thatcher and make sure all of those electronics stick around on the defense just to hinder the offensive success a little bit more. That secondary band coming in now, Capitao going to be taken out as well. That's not one that we see happen too often on Consulate. Granted, Capitao is an extremely potent operator, especially when Wamai's off the board, but probably using that for other means. That's the one that I was expecting for our first defensive band here. Get Valkyrie out of here. Way too many camera spots on this map. So guys, our last band coming in here going to be Mira, as it appears we were having a couple technical issues, but nothing that we can't get through. So Thatcher, Capitao, Valkyrie, and Mira to round out our band phase here on Consulate. Some pretty strong bands overall, but this feels more just like, you know, patching up the holes that are regularly there. Just some things that both of these teams don't want to deal with. Nothing necessarily for the map in particular. I can hear you, John. I can. So, hi, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, sorry about that. My mic might just randomly die a couple times today. Working on fixing that as quickly as I can, but seems like it may be staying with us for a little bit here. But either way, we're going into the first round now of this matchup. We're going to see how well Nordik will fare off against Oblivion, as the first site is going to be on the basement to start out with here, as Oblivion is going to get that defensive start on Consulate. Taking a look at the operator lineup, nothing crazy going on here to start out with. We are going to get that 6 pick from a Habana over towards a Thermite, though, going for a little bit more of a direct opening on the garage panels, which should go off without a hitch here, considering it's gotten pretty hard for the defenders to counter that in recent times. However, despite that fact, we do have a Caden play for Discover, so there's definitely going to be attempts to hold back the attack here at least a little bit.
Yeah, and Discover really recently joined this roster as well. A new addition that should be assisting them quite a bit. A younger player that's been around for quite some time. It's nice to see him finally getting his name out there on some of the bigger Siege streams, getting on some of these bigger teams and trying to make a name for himself.
So, ourselves into the rest of the setup here, seeing if we're going to have any more creative implementations on what they're trying to go for here. Not necessarily looking like it. A lot of emphasis on the reinforcements onto the hatches on the first floor mainly. We, of course, have the rotate from the second floor, as Ferda looks like he's going to be playing upstairs, and there's a good chance he won't be alone here either, as Cabal also in the area. Cabal's a player I was very much looking forward to casting today, by the way. Had the opportunity to catch this team back when they were playing in CL, and I was very impressed with his skills specifically, so hopefully going to be one of the shining stars for that roster on Oblivion today.
Yeah, lots of talk about him and what he can possibly do and produce, but the problem is, like we heard about on the analyst desk, is if he does have a slow day today, that could hinder a lot of the success for Oblivion here. I think that they could be very potent just because of the recent additions to the roster, as well as Cabal and what he can do. It's just how these initial engagements go and how they set pace for this matchup overall. Really liking the addition of this 5 versus 5 at the top to keep track of our man count now for the spectator as well. So thank you, Ubisoft, for that. That makes our jobs just a little bit easier. But overall, Oblivion playing things pretty slow early on, showed an aggressive face, but Nordik just playing very patiently. But we finally have our first engagement here. Storm's going to take some damage.
Storm's going to go down low, and Cabal sitting back here on the inside of CEO upstairs, waiting to see if any further action is going to be taken. Has to be very careful about this position, because if you check behind him, you will note that it looked like there was a player out on rappel. Either way, Oblivion gets the first pick here. Ferda finding a nice find against S4, bringing Nordik down to 4 here, but Ferda now going to move deeper to the inside after trying to go for a little bit of an aggressive play there towards the front door. Falls back on top of the hatch inside of that cubby. Cabal now getting pinched in a little bit on here as well. He's going to have to fall back, at least drop down through the hatch and play to the inside of Piano instead.
This is a really strong anchor position for them. They've practically made a triangle on this first level here. You see Discover inside a Piano, as well as the Aldo-wielding Maestro moving up Spiral here. So Boomski's going to hold Ferda's cross, so on and so forth throughout that triangle area. It's going to be difficult for Nordik to try and crack. If they handle this incorrectly, Oblivion's just going to bowl them over. Cabal's going to back off, though, as he knows that Ferda and the rest of Oblivion and their members are actually in some really strong positions, so they don't have to worry about things too much. Ferda's now going to rotate back into circle desk. He's okay and moves out from the closet, but gets caught off guard from Storms, who's moved into Spiral. Nordik now with some control here. Just need to make these adjustments. They'll have plenty of time to be able to get the wall open as well, and frag grenades to help.
Still going to see another electric claw on that right panel, it looks like, however, as that'll continue to affect things. So they're going to have to open up the middle panel instead. Going to be a bit of an awkward breach. It's not exactly how you want to pan things out, but it should work out for their methods, at least for the time being, if they get the opportunity to, which unfortunately is unlikely to happen at this point. They can open up the other one, but they do need to start moving here as they're down to 20 seconds. You'll note that the smoke charges have only just now started to come out, so he can basically bleed down the time. No way for Skies to actually get himself into the garage door right there. He's gonna have to rely on his other teammates making the effort instead. 8 seconds remaining now. Another kill for Boomski just picked up right there. One trade from Nordik, but that seems to be it. Oblivion are holding strong. We've approached the 0 timer. And that's gonna be the end of round 1 as Oblivion take it at 0-0.
Very strong start here for Oblivion, especially on Consulate. Not a map that really leans to either side of the spectrum too much, but very strong defense. Started things off very aggressively, but slowed things down. Was able to maintain map control for quite some time. Wasted a lot of Nordic's time, as well as their utility. They got down to actually trying to push onto site, but while they're trying to funnel in, there's just way too much utility in place from the defense, especially those Banshees really getting in the way of the offense. They needed some of those explosives and just didn't have any action access to any more. Ash was already out of her 3 breaching rounds. She has 3 of those now, no longer having stun grenades as a secondary, so Bozak was carrying those breaching charges, but he'd already used all 3 of his breaching rounds. Zofia was dead, and Sledge didn't have any more grenades, so a very complicated situation for them to try and actually, you know, work their way into site. We'll see if they run into the same problems here as Oblivion's going to get a little unorthodox off rip here. We go from basement right to the split site. We're not going to lobby. Oblivion want to try and get in the faces of Nordik and prove that they're better on this map.
Potentially not a bad choice here when you consider that they held on to basement pretty confidently there, still had 3 players alive, and did a very easy job of forcing Nordik down to basically not being able to execute properly due to having such little time in order to work their way in. So now if they can push that one step further, they can really take the advantage here on a site like this, which traditionally going to be a little bit more awkward to defend here for the defenders, just because there's a lot more effort required to properly set things up, and more importantly, a lot less things need to go wrong here for the attackers to be able to really take control and put the defenders out of the round there. So let's see if Oblivion's going to be ready for the challenge.
We'll have to see. I mean, we've already had an adjustment here, but it's actually going to be Cabal getting aggressive off rip, and he's going to lose his head for it. Lackey, not missing any shots early on today, took some damage off rip, but was ready for Cabal to be there the second time around. So Nordik already starting things off early and strong as they take down one Oblivion member.
Oh, we were right about the aggression. Predicted that much so far here, but unfortunately not about the outcome with which it would bring. So at the moment, Oblivion fighting from the back foot, losing that upstairs control. I don't believe they have anyone else positioned on the second floor either, but what they do have, a couple pre-placed nitro cells, at least one of them here at the doorway going on to the inside of Visa. Whether the attackers will be able to catch on to that or not is still yet to be seen, as we also have the roam game still present, although in a much less degree on the second floor. Boomski, you're on the castle, rocking with that 1.5 times here, trying to play into it. He knows he got thrown out a moment ago. Quickly will take care of that as he tries to move forward just an inch or two here, but definitely not in a safe position to try to do anything aggressive, so he's remaining very, very cautious with the position back over just outside of the top of yellow stairs.
A very strong, patient gameplay here from Oblivion, and that's exactly what you need when you have someone go for a play like Cabal just did. If he does get picked off early, then you really need to try and lean on that timer, take some time away from Nordik and get your pick back. You don't want to lose any more of that man count. So very important in this game with all the crosses that you can hold. Nordik now destroying quite a few things on site. We've gotten rid of quite a few castle barricades, as well as some soft destruction into the floor of tellers. They just need a spot to try, and plant this bomb, but they still have to worry about the nitro cells from downstairs as well. But it seems like they might possibly have a solution for that. Some stun grenades go downstairs, but nothing that Boomski can't solve from up top. Takes down Skivs, still working his way around the map, but he's going to end up walking into the Claymore of the IQ.
Quick exchange between the two teams there, but it still gives Nordik a slight man advantage as we enter the last minute of the round. That is the key message here, though, as timing was a problem for Nordik on the previous round too, and it may very well become the case here. Good trade for Bozak, though, to quickly put it back down into a 3v2, opening up the first real plant opportunity for them. Here comes the nitro. That actually might be a little too far off, but no, it's right on for Baka. Be able to take down Bozak and take him down, leaving us down to only a 2v1 now with Lackey's most recent pickup. Again, Nordik are holding on via trades here, but Baka gets a lineup here, manages to catch a player slightly. Now trying to isolate it again here. More positioning being found out, but this time the shots aren't hitting. That's the table going to be in the way between the two floorboards this time for Baka. Oh, but what an adjustment. Instantly goes for the head all of a sudden, taking down Storms and bringing us into a 1v1. Plant never went down either, so it's going to go down to these last 10 seconds. Lackey trying to plant it from a different position. Baka's lost it seems, but never mind, catches on. He'll try it one more time. Does Baka have the read? He'll see the ping in a moment here. Now he just needs to stop it. Where's the lineup? There it is. He shuts it down, and Oblivion gets round number 2.
Oh, Nordik, that's a rough one. They're going to want that one back in a heartbeat. But great plays here from Becca, and amazing use of that cardiac sensor. Nordik just really not respecting the amount of intel that Becca had, you know, at their disposal.
A heartbeat, you say?
Yeah, exactly, right? The heartbeat of the team right there from Becca, let me tell you. But no, so inside of those last handful of seconds there, that last minute especially, when they get it down to that 2 versus 1 scenario, you're faced with two options. Either number one, you're going for the plant and you're going to try and force things down and force the pulse to come upstairs, or try and engage with you through the floor. They could have also went with the other option of pushing down the staircase and then trying to engage in a 2 versus 1 up against the pulse. I mean, he does have that there is an option there to do that, but they didn't favor that. They wanted to go for the objective play instead, and it seems like that really hindered them down there at that clutch moment for them, where Becca actually steps up to the plate and is able to make some really impressive plays happen with the information at their disposal once again.
All right, so continuing on with the trend of kind of what are normally the offside, so that's become less and less true over the past few months here. We are going to go towards lobby hold here now for Oblivion. We'll try to do this before rotating back to their initial site in the basement, if they can get the quick little 3-peat here to set themselves up nice and comfy at a 3-0 defensive start. Pretty standard setup here so far, reinforcing the smoke more than likely to play upstairs here if he's going to try to go for the smoke gas grenades being chucked through the floorboard at the door, if that's part of the plan. But another operator could just as easily fulfill that role. However, it does look like that Becca is going to be doing it instead here.
Yeah, Becca going to be playing around that Bosco spot, and they're also going to be setting up the shield inside of Connector as well. This is really strong. They are only going to be bringing Jaeger, though, and if you guys haven't been recently watching any Siege or playing any Siege, then you probably don't know too much about those changes. So Jaeger doesn't catch 2 things per ADS anymore. They actually catch an infinite amount of things, but they have a 10-second cooldown. So if you throw 1 item into it, you can then throw an infinite amount of things through that ADS for 10 seconds. It's a pretty cool thing. It kind of changes up his playstyle, how you have to play around those ADSs, but you know, he's still got a really good rifle that he can be extremely aggressive with, so still quite a potent operator. Discover,
nice.
Though, almost getting 2, but right over the head of Storm. Still tags him up quite a bit, though. That's down to 1 bullet gunfight here for Storms, and that could mess up all the plans here for Nordik, just not respecting what Oblivion can do with this aggression.
Yeah, if anything, the raw aggression from Oblivion is slowing down the pace from Nordik, causing them to, double or potentially triple check things before they really commit themselves to it. Because this has been a common trend now for Oblivion over all 3 of the rounds that have been played out. They've been continuing to throw a very aggressive playstyle at Nordik, and they do have to give some respect to it, with this being Siege and all. Storms here still trying to line up a potential trade, or I should say in addition to the trade that he found on Discover, but so far that's not happening. In fact, Boomski now gets the next one here, taking out S4, I believe, through the piano window. Again, though, a quick trade there from Nordik as Skies is able to take out Cabal, one of the more impactful players on the roster, in my opinion, and bring us down into another even 3v3.
Solid situation here for both sides, obviously favoring Oblivion a little bit more, strictly because of how much damage Storm has taken. Any bullet obviously killing him once again, so Nordic's going to have to try and figure something out in this thick of the woods. Drone play already in, trying to get some extra information here. Boomski might run into an issue, though, in the window as some stun grenades hop out, and actually, no, it's Boomski that hops out, excuse me. Skivs, though, picking up the kill here. Excuse me, Skies, actually. Apologies about that.
It's all right.
But,
it's a V there. You're technically right.
Name yourself the correct thing, man. Come on. But Ferda's going to take him down. Skies going up to the place in the sky here. 2v2 now with only 40 seconds remaining, but Becca with a very nice shot. That SMG-11 recoil looking masterfully done early on here inside of these rounds. These defensive rounds overall just coming together so well for Oblivion.
You're trying to line up the winning angle for him in the 1v2 here, but it's so difficult to try and lock down these players' angles from up on top. Such an awkward fight, no matter who you are. Going to try to go for the plan in piano. Only a bait, though, to try and draw at his opponents either through the hatch or some other method here. He does have top-down floorboards to worry about, and on top of that, he's got more than one player to deal with here, too. So it's a lose-lose no matter what he does. However, he is given a gift in that missed toxic grenade thrown out there, but it won't seem to matter much as Oblivion shut it down anyway and get themselves the 3-peat to start things off.
Nordik continuing to run into these issues with this aggressive play style from Oblivion, but it feels as though it's really just an early round thing for Oblivion. They want to get those early picks, then force Nordik into these poor decisions where they're able to, steamroll that man count, and it's continuing to work for them. Their pacing through so far throughout this series has been really, really strong. I know it's an early call, but it does seem as though they have the potential to walk all over Nordik, and unless Nordik has an answer for are, messing with the pace of this game, I don't really see them getting around this. Continually, they're running into these problems where they really don't have the utility or the man count to make things happen. And even when it comes down to something like the 2v2 that we just saw, it's that Oblivion is just simply playing the situations that much better than Nordik are. Nordik just aren't playing off of each other, while we're having some very nice pinches as well as vertical and horizontal pressure all at the same time being played out by Oblivion. You can just see that the calm and play, or the comms and play from Oblivion right now are extremely, extremely solid.
The good news here for Nordik is at least it is just a repeat at this point of things that they've more than likely already seen, so they can start to really apply any adjustments that they wanted to make from the previous lost rounds into this one, of course, since we're going for the same type of attacks yet again here, and more than likely similar defender setups from what I've been able to see so far here. Oblivion doesn't look like they're really changing up too much when it comes to the defensive setup for their basement hold, as well they won it the first time, so not much of a reason to change it when things went so well there.
Yeah, and as long as, Nordik are having these utility issues, I think that we're going to continue to see this lineup. I mean, it's been super strong for them, as you've said, especially with those Banshees coming into play from Cabal. They continue to have that issue where they're not really able to work onto site simply because the Banshees continue to slow them down, and they don't have any explosives to get rid of them. So let's see if they run into some similar issues here. Nordik is going to be going for a top clear, extremely standard here on Consulate, but they are going to have to worry about Ferda as well as Discover, playing aggressively towards those east stairs.
Cabal going to continue to have that pressure on them. They'll have to be careful, of course, because of the window repel sitting behind him, but thankfully no penetration through the connector wall at all. No reinforcements either, to be fair. We'll keep him safe as long as he decides to play into there and not inside of the purview of the CEO windows. He's going to get scouted out now, however, by a drone, so that player on repel is going to laser sight onto his position, and I think may have just gotten the kill onto him, in fact. Cabal goes down first yet again here for Oblivion. Once more, they'll have to fight for the back foot in a 4v5, which, to be fair, hasn't been a massive problem for them previously. So this first kill so far is going according to plan here for Oblivion, even though they've lost it.
Well, Nordik now having top control. Let's see what they can possibly do with it. Obviously already getting that pick as well. Air jab set up, so the rotations are going to be quite difficult here for Oblivion if they do want to go for a late round flank. But we're more than likely not going to see that. Don't really have any options in order to break these air jabs unless they can possibly get vision on them. So it's going to be up to Nordik now to break up piano floor as well as get some pressure on these anchor positions. They need some picks here to work into sight and especially get the garage door open. That's their main objective right now, as Skies is waiting outside for them. But Discover, still with some Electro Claws in his pockets, going to lock things down. So that's going to force Piano to try and get rid of these, wasting even more time. But pretty straightforward for Nordik. Already going to get that wall open. Good place, or a very finely placed grenade here.
There's an Electric Claw that they can't find somewhere in the corner here. I can't see it myself exactly where it's positioned, but they've thrown like 2 or 3 frags at it, and they haven't been able to get it. So I'm curious as to where it's placed, because it's constantly electrifying that full right panel, and they're not going to be able to open it this time either. It seems they're just going to blow up the middle panel.
I'm assuming that it's under the work desk, that little silver filing cabinet there. I think that they slid it under there, more than likely. Either that, or there's definitely some shenanigans going on.
Curious that the grenades didn't get it in that case then. It's just a bit of a weird angle, but either way, it's going to push them into a bit of an awkward push yet again here. Just like the first time they attacked it. Ferda picks up the first victim of that. More trying to work their way in. Boomski's going to take some slight damage, but it looks like S4 was also down in the process. Boomski taking him a minute there to find his next target, but he does get it. And Bosak out of nowhere with this double. All of a sudden, has put just Becca alone in the 1v3. They just barely get the plant onto the ground, so he's got to clutch it. There's the first kill. There's the second. This might be another 1v1. He's right there. He's right there. There you go. Takes it down. And that's going to be yet another round for Oblivion.
Baka, don't do that to me ever again. Oh my goodness.
I was starting to get upset there. I don't know if you heard it.
Oh my, my heart is beating out of my chest right now for that, man. Oh my goodness gracious, that was something else. All right, well, Baka, the SMG-11 master, it seems, but he might want to wash out those goggles on his mask because he wasn't seeing straight for about 2 seconds.
Wasn't the only time that happened that run, too. Someone else was there and nearly missed that, too.
Oh my goodness. All right, well, Oblivion continuing to, well, destroy Nordik in every capacity, even when it comes down to the moments where you think Nordik can make something happen. They're losing these gunfights to a smoke swinging with an SMG-11 and just eating them alive. Baka looking super strong coming into this, and again, like we talked about previously, if Oblivion continues to play like this, Nordik have a serious problem on their hands, because every single clutch now that they've ran into, Oblivion has taken the opportunity and ran with it. Nordik now trying to make some adjustments. They flash the ace off rip, then switch over to the Hibana. This could help them out quite a bit. Hibana's gotten a lot of changes recently as well. Her kit's actually really, really cool now. And not to say that it wasn't cool before, but now, I mean, these X-Kairos, you can set them in their own patterns, 2, 4, or 6, which is just such a, you know, new concept, explain, right?
If anyone's really confused as to why she says she is 18 now compared to why she had just 3 before, it's for that reason. It's that the pellets count individually now instead of in sets of 6.
Correctamundo, sir. Correctamundo. But it also opens up a lot of cool avenues. So, for instance, the X-Kairos actually used to waste 2 of those X-Kairos pellets when you opened a hatch. You only need 4 to open a hatch, as well as on walls and things like that. If you just want to set up for 2 and put them on each panel and pop them off, that's going to make a hole big enough to put a grenade through or something along those lines. So she's got a lot of options right now. I feel like she really has, you know, changed up in what she applies to situationally.
You can shoot them like vertically and horizontally now as well, can't you? Like, can't you like flip between those modes or something like that?
I can neither confirm nor deny. I'll be honest, I haven't played in a little bit, so
I haven't tried her out yet. I've just seen the video feeds of it, but we'll get to know that right on this
Cyberpunk
round,
2077. Come on.
It's been a fun time trying to optimize your graphics settings for that game.
I forgot to do the driver update, and like all of the lights looked terrible for quite some time, but then it finally went back to, you know, after I updated, it looked really good. I was like, oh, this is how this game's supposed to look. Okay, cool.
Well, taking a look at this round and how we're building up the action here, gonna see Boomski try to run a bit of aggression first off here. Same can be said for Cabal, though he's staying a little bit more quiet. This is still a very similar setup to what we already saw, again, on the repeat back in round number 2 from Oblivion just a couple rounds back here. But Nordik, as a result of this, are going to be given some free access to Visa to start things out with. This was not as much the case in the previous attempt, as this was being actively held by Oblivion. Not so much the case anymore, as Nordic's going to be able to get themselves in here very early, as well as clearing out that top-down control over towards admin. Of course, it's not safe yet, because you've got Cabal and other players still trying to crunch that.
Well, Cabal already burning one of those air jabs. Storm set all of them up, so they're more than likely centralized around that vending area on the other side of Long Hall. Cabal going to take some damage, but he's going to drop downstairs. This is a perfect moment here for Oblivion to take control of this round. Nordik does have top control, but not too much pressure on the actual Teller's area. No real plant chance available for them, especially with the man count right now. Boomski going to continue to play out his life. Super smart decision-making so far from Oblivion. Extremely impressed with this so far, as they continue to just waste time. Doesn't give up too much, goes back to his bullet holes here inside of CEO, and Cabal's also going to get a pick. This is masterfully done.
Cabal showing up there on the scoreboard. He's been pretty quiet this match, but still has been finding impact despite the lack of frags, more in the nature of wasting a lot of time. However, only going to lead into a 1-for-1 exchange. First plant attempt coming in now, and it looks like it's going to go off here due to the fact that nobody has an angle on the skies. There you go. Great plant. A lot cleaner than what we saw on the reattempt on the last time there from Nordik, but now they've got to hold it in post-plant, and this can be the tough part here, especially if the rotates through Spiral are not being controlled by the attackers, which they currently are not. It's going to be a change-up, though, from Skies, but Discover wraps up in the basement Visa stairs, taking out Bosak, tries to get another one, but he's going to get a Claymore to the face, taking him down. 2v1 now as Skies gets himself yet another pickup against Ferda. Baka's just going to go right for the defuse here. There's the drop down from Skies and the finishing kill to give Nordik their very first round here on round number 5.
Much better round there from Nordik. Great recover from them and great plant attempt as well. They finally opened that door, especially with that pick onto Boomski. Oblivion had to answer with something, and they didn't really have any pressure, especially from the pulse over on that Teller's area. So Hibana goes in for a plant, hops up on the filing cabinet to be safe from the nitro cells, and all of a sudden Nordik have a round, really. I mean, they throw it down. There's some trades that happen, especially around that east staircase, but that's really about it. Nordik nip it in the bud every attempt that Oblivion make at trying to clutch things up. And that's the very first time they've done this. It seems that Skies is starting to come online somewhat as well, which is a really, really good thing. Nordik needs some people to step up right now to battle up against these, these big gunfighters on Oblivion. If you don't have anybody to try and handle these entries and these roamers, you're going to continue to run into a lot of these issues. But that was a really, really strong round, not only map control wise, but objective wise from Nordik.
So, a momentary bump for Oblivion or a sign of things to change from Nordik? That we're going to find out right now. The unfortunate part for Nordik is although they may be rebounding on their attacking side, they've only got one round left on it, but hopefully we can see that momentum carry through onto their defensive half as well, or maybe things will look a little bit better for them. Either way, if they can piece a 4-2 together, this is still absolutely winnable going into the second half. So as a 5-1, it's just a little bit more difficult. Either way, setup again, going to look pretty similar here for Oblivion. Nothing crazy coming out that we didn't already see in the previous round or haven't otherwise seen in other matches here. Baka once again being set up to play the smoke inside a projector.
We'll see if he can have a large enough impact like he did the last time. I expect nothing less from this man now, as every single time he gets put into a situation where he can make a big play, it's almost a highlight reel thing every single time. So, Cabal.
Jesse gave us a good stat on Baka, by the way, about some of his performance throughout the CACL. He actually had the highest survivability rating in the entire division at 59%. So him surviving quite a few of these and kind of being the last man standing in a lot of these rounds, starting to make more sense there. Thanks for that stat, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Yeah, almost 60% of the time he is surviving a round. That's actually extremely, extremely impressive. I mean, that offers a lot of clutches, but it also, means that he's weaning down that timer whenever he has a good position. Granted, he is playing kind of those anchor-esque operators, but especially in like this setup right here, Baka's on the forefront of what's going to go on. He's playing the shield here inside of Connector. You can always hop in and try and play Bosco spot, but that's not really going to be a safe option right now, just simply because how Nordik are handling the map. They've already got somebody on suicide balcony. They're working long hallway here. They want to put pressure on Projector. So as long as Baka stays here, he can use these smokes to his advantage and try and get some of these picks and help his teammates work on these Nordik members.
Still good amount of delay coming out here from the second floor team on Oblivion. Just like previous rounds past, this has been really the crown jewel, in my opinion, of their capability to be able to delay so heavily has been how well they've been doing it upstairs, and a bit of a risk here from Cabal, but it's going to line up. Oh, man. Missed the opportunity, but still the trigger discipline is there either way. He's not going to flinch. He'll wait. Hope another chance comes by to find his mark there, but it's not looking likely to happen at this point.
Very strong impact here from Cabal. Now they have the opportunity to hop back into Projector. That was a very nicely placed air jab by Storms to make sure that he kept them locked inside of Connector, but not very many options for them now. Cabal gonna hop out upstairs. Boomski worrying about where this plant's going to go down, but it's gonna be Discover to strike first. He takes down Storms through these holes, but no, Cabal getting shot back at. Oh, he's gotta make sure to shoot back at those angles. Upside down rappel now on suicide balcony, but oh no, Cabal sees the shadow. He gets aggressive. S4's ready for him though. Still has one to worry about here inside of Connector, but it's a back and forth between both of these squads.
Well, they're taking the head off his teammate there, too, as he's trying to be careful. Baka on the retreat. He made it out alive, thankfully, though. Got himself behind the reinforcement. The delay continues to go off here. Boomski hoping he could shoot the backside of another player that was just on the edge of the front door balcony. He knows the presence is being built up here. Here comes the flashes. Are they going to hit him? First one's a miss. Second one as well, but he doesn't catch the hold against the plant and goes right for the planter himself. Bosak and Lackey all get kills. Baka and Ferda, though. Baka as well, picking one up just before he goes down there. Or, excuse me, no, he's still in it. Brings it down to a 2v1. It's all on Lackey now here. 1v2 situation for him to try and battle out of, and a lot of it's coming from top-down presence as well. He has to figure out so much, and he just has no time to do it. He gets the stick, but Ferda's right around the corner. Baka's still upstairs. He shuts it down, and Oblivion gets the final round of the half.
Baka is legitimately a raid boss. You just can't kill this guy. He's everywhere all at once. Like, when they talk about, nuclear fallout or something like that, they're like, the only things that would survive would be like rats and cockroaches. Like, this guy is inside of that list. Like, he's just living. It doesn't matter. Anything you throw at Baka, he just, wipes it off, dusts off his shoulders, gets back up, and does whatever he needs to do for his squad. Some extremely impressive stuff from Oblivion on those defenses, but this is where the rubber hits the road, John. We're switching sides here. Nordik, this is their map choice, which means they're more than likely strong on defense, or at least that's what we're hoping to see. But Oblivion, onto offense, got to change things up here, change of pace. It's all on Nordik now to try and pick up this mantle, have a strong defense here, and try and force this to overtime. They did get lucky, though. They did get one of those rounds, so they don't have to worry about losing just yet. They don't want them to obviously get to that match point. They want to try and rack up as many rounds before that happens, but with how Oblivion are playing, it's almost an oh my goodness gracious, inevitability that they're going to end up on that match point. So we'll see how far Nordik can get. If they can get a good head of steam here coming into their defense, we could possibly be seeing OT. We'll just have to see how they handle that.
Yeah, needless to say, though, 5-1 is going to be rough for Nordik here. It's got to be a near flawless comeback on the way up to 6 or 7, whichever is their goal. We'll have to see just what they can bring to the table, as if not, Oblivion is primed and ready to take a hot start on this series, already putting them up to 1-0, potentially with a 7-1 scoreline if they can continue their momentum from the previous rounds here. Let's take a look, see if that's going to be true. They're on the attack.
Well, so far things, at least, what's changed, nothing too drastic in between these two squads. Nordik are picking up Mozzie. That's the first time that we're going to see him this game. But besides that, everything looking exactly the same from what we saw of the offense of Nordik being mirrored by Oblivion. Same exact operator lineup here. Cabal's going to be rocking the Ash. I started to see some adjustments with how people are using her kit, and that's exactly what's to be expected after losing those stun grenades. Prioritizing those breaching rounds on more of those devices that require explosive utility on the defense, like those Banshees of Melusi. So we'll see if Cabal and Oblivion fall into line with that as well. Discover, again, being new to the roster, he's filling in as Nomad, and this could be interesting. New flank watch here for Oblivion is going to require that trust, and looks like the trust might have ran out pretty early on here, John. Storm's aggressive play towards the front of the building takes down Discover. No more air jabs.
Good early find here for the Nordik roster in order to keep them in control. Ferd is potentially looking for a trade. I believe he did get a quick little glimpse of Storms around the corner at the staircase, and Storms is going to get scared away anyway now as a result of being droned out just a moment ago there. He decides not to stick around and goes all the way back to the basement, clearing out most of this for the attackers' free pleasure now. It's going to be up to Bosak potentially stop this and still cause any further delays. He's, I believe at least, is now the only remaining player on active roam here outside of the basement, of course.
Oh, Bozak trying to work his way into the bathroom stall, but Cabal might catch him on timing, and he does. And this is going to be a major problem now. This bathroom hatch is reinforced, so Bozak needs to move now. Otherwise, he's going to risk them rotating in and capturing him. And this is exactly where we saw that pressure coming from, breaching round into the wall. And this is how aggressive you can get with that kit now, just because of the added breaching round. Cabal's got one extra one at his disposal. Oh, Bozak ready for him, but he's going to get demolished by Kamal. Just steamrolls him inside of the bathroom. Did already have another Oblivion member in tow to try and assist him, but Oblivion overall just eating this map alive. Already have both the garage panels open, top control at their disposal, as well as all the explosives required to get rid of any of these big problematic pieces on the defense, but not Lackey. He's going to be the biggest problem of them all. Double kill here, but Baka's still alive, and that could be some issues in and of its own. 10-1-1. He's already worked his way down the back staircase. This guy is being an absolute rat right now, but this actually might be the saving grace for Oblivion.
Skies is looking directly at that position, though, and unfortunately his only other teammate has now gone down. Baka eliminated. It's all on to Boomski to try to push in from Yellow, and Lackey just lines himself up. Another kill from that angle. I believe that's a third or fourth on the round from him. So a great hold at Yellow, and that seems to be the main point, unfortunately. That along with a garage breach as well, where you just couldn't really see Oblivion get past. That on top of their problems with the roam clear in the early round made it their first loss here on the attacking side, but also the first round on the attacking side. Time to see if they'll have better luck against a different site defense.
And we're going to be headed towards lobby as well, which Within recent history, like the last year of Consulate, lobbies became more and more of a favorite for a lot of these teams. We see a lot of teams favoring this now. No one going to CEO really anymore. That's a rare occasion here on Consulate. It's more of the site triangle that we've been seeing from both of these squads, but Nordik having a little bit of a different take about it. They go from basement to lobby instead of basement to splits. Let's see how they try and handle this setup. They are going to be running the Wamai, which is already telling us that they may want to set up that connector area upstairs to work with projector like we saw Oblivion do, but without the Wamai. They did it instead with ADSs and Jaeger, so that seems as though that's exactly what Nordik is going to start off here with the lobby defense.
All right, guys, so let's take a look and see if Nordic's going to be able to continue to hold on. Definitely a convincing first round there. Controlling the early roam game, and more importantly, not overcommitting it as far as I can tell. Did a pretty good job of reeling that back to the site and starting to fight for the site itself at a very appropriate time. And that's often really a make or break point for whether your roam game ends up contributing to the actual win or not, at least in my mind. So let's see if they're going to be able to do the same type of control again. Obviously, we'll see a little bit more, probably, insistence on the roam game sticking around upstairs here just because it's so quintessential, but take a look and see how exactly that all pans out, because Oblivion is on the prowl now. Already seen Cabal work his way up towards those CEO windows. Potential swing to go in towards there. Ferda, and I believe Boomski helping out on drone there, clearing out admin in the meantime.
And I have an excerpt from Jesse J. Chick on Twitter. Historically, Consulate is the best map in Nordic's map pool, John, and attack is their best side. So there might be some more problems that we're just not, ready for here. We'll have to see exactly what happens with that. But so far, Nordic starting off strong, and it seems like they want to try and match this aggression. The only issue that they could possibly run into is exactly this. Oblivion are leaning more into that intel game with these drones, getting the drones in early and often to try and find out where these initial roamers are going to be. And this is going to allow them to take early map control as well. They simply have to worry about Bozak inside of Connector. This projector area is going to be needed to they're going to need to handle this really, really well, because if not, Bozak more than likely is going to walk away with a few kills here. This is a really, really potent spot, especially with this operator in that 1.5. You can hold those pixels off of the shield, and it's just very dangerous to try and deal with.
A lot of drones going down here for Oblivion. Starting to run low as only Cabal and Discover still have alive drones at this point, so they would have to switch up the roles as well. Concerning that those are probably the two players the most involved in actually trying to fight people at this point, so they may not be available to continue that in either way. Time's going to continue to tick down here. Oblivion still with a little over a minute, which is decent time, to be fair, in Siege here, but they need to find a kill opportunity soon. There's the first for Ferda, but he loses it as he'll go into a down state. Not confirmed just yet, though, and there is a possibility to get him up, but it is very risky here. Boomski's going to have to risk his own life in order to do it. He's trying to find the trade first. Thankfully, Ferda just opts to go because he's on Zofia for the withstand, but also Boomski's going to get lost, as will Discover here. A great hold upstairs. Ferda's self-revive there is really a saving grace. It's the only trade they've been able to get so far. And even with that, they're still running low on time. Now at a little over 30. This guy's going to get another player here against Baka as he's dead on repel. And Ferda, man, still in this fight as he finds another pickup here against Bosak.
Very, very potent operator Zofia is, especially with that pickup, like you were saying. And that's going to beg them 2 kills, the only 2 kills they've found this entire round so far. But with very minimal time and Ferda on low HP, he won't be able to pressure this how he wants to. Cabal now working down Spiral, but it's really all on Cabal to try and make a large impact here. And he starts off strong, but he still has one on Spiral that I don't know if he knows about. Is going to swing towards Z here, but oh no, he's going to run into both of them. S4 with a great move downstairs, picks up 2, and seals yet another round here for Nordik.
A little bit too much into the upstairs clear. Unfortunately, they're coming out for Oblivion. Did not leave themselves the time or the man count in order to do a proper clear of the first floor, as well as the drone count really just getting ripped down there too. Still had about 4 left when the action got started upstairs, but never would build themselves into an opportunity where they could continue to use those other 4 drones to clear out the downstairs, because by the time they actually got the upstairs portion cleared out, they only had a couple seconds left to make the play in the 2v2 as well. So Oblivion gonna falter there. The defense starting to pick itself up a bit here for Nordik as they're rallying multiple rounds together. only 2 more away from being able to tie this up now at 5-5.
And this honestly might be the rally cry that they need to get 2 rounds under their belt on defense. And it seems as though they're starting to feel a little bit frisky about this, man. Vigil on the board, Oryx here as well. We got some extremely aggressive operator choices that all can lean on that information from skies down low. That cardiac sensor, once again, we talk about this all the time. Such a potent piece of utility for these defenses, especially on maps like Consulate, where you can get multiple levels all with the same guy. I mean, that cardiac sensor sees all the way to the top floor. That's so much information for Nordik to play off of. Oblivion is going to have to respect this, and it's going to be a difficult road ahead for them simply because of that. They don't have any options really to deal with that pulse. IQ not on the board, and obviously Thatcher being banned, you can't take that cardiac sensor away from him. We have seen some teams in recent history try and change things up on these offenses to have an effect over the pulse down low, most notably the Ying play coming in, which we don't see happen too often, but when it does, it's usually on this site so they can put those Candelas through the floor and full stun that pulse so he can't get those nitro cells off. This isn't going to be the option for Oblivion though. We're still sticking to their guns. They are going to change some things up. Hibana and Jackal coming into the fold.
All right, guys. So a little bit of a change up here now, and we'll see how well this suits the Oblivion roster. Trying to maybe clear out this roam game just a little bit quicker with Cabal's operator switch up here. Not to mention, there's still going to be a very heavy roam game. Baka's currently trying to investigate that over on top of the balcony for second floor, or trying to potentially move himself to the inside of Projector if that is going to be his intended goal. But a lot more to clear out here from the Nordic side, still on really all of the floors at this point. But you do have a pretty heavy focus on the basement, that bottom spiral area for Storms, who's been a real problem for Oblivion here when it comes to the roam clear.
Well, Oblivion already splitting up early on here on this offense, trying to handle multiple parts of the map all at the same time. Run out here from Bozak, rips Ferda apart. Gonna take some damage from that though, but nothing that's they really have to worry too much about. That's a great pick there, taking down the Zofia. That's so much utility off the board, especially for the offense. So Nordik now in the driver's seat. We really need to see a refrag come through eventually here. It seems as though Cabal is going to be setting up the upstairs area to hold off these flanks. Does have to worry about one inside of Towers, and he could actually get cut off here. Yeah, the timing's going to be pretty poor, but actually ends up getting out on the other side. Very dangerous there for just a second, but it's actually Boomski to strike back.
Going to take down Bosak, who, of course, we saw a little bit of action from before. Storm's going to make the rotate from the basement back upstairs. This could catch Cabal at a minimum off guard, as he was watching for that spiral rotate a second ago, but he definitely wouldn't expect this play from Storms. The hatch hop coming in from the Oryx. Definitely not something that's always going to be in the back of your mind as a player, as it's very rare to happen. But it seems Cabal might have either got info onto it or has some intuition that this may be going on from Storms. He does have the right angle for it. Lackey, though, is going to find the next pick here, this time against a member of Oblivion, with Boomski going down. Cabal tries to push forward more, but no longer cognizant to the position on the inside of main. So Storms does get the pick for free against Cabal. That's another one gone down, and Oblivion left with only 2, Discover and Baka, to try and clutch this out.
Oh, Baka's going to get a pick, though. Discover, still in a strong position, but not too worried about the man on Spiral. Has no information on that, so Baka and Discover gonna have to make some magic happen here. Have to worry about the staircase as well to Baka's west side, but they need to start getting this plant down. Discover avoiding the Nitro cell. Some great platforming here by him, as Baka's going to keep things locked down on both sides. Discover confirming the plant. This is now extremely winnable for both sides here. 40 seconds remain on this planter as it's just gone off. Discover working his way back upstairs, but doesn't seem as though he has any vertical play to work with. Lackey working his way inside as Sky is actually going to go and try and force his way up the teller's staircase. Still has to worry about this vertical play though. Discover has good cover on this as well as a sound cue now, so here Lackey start things off. Baka going to get a very, very nice kill, but S4 already working his way up Spiral. It's now down to Baka once again, but they know his positioning. Baka ready for the gunfight, but S4 too quick to the trigger, takes him down, and Nordik continue to link together these defensive rounds.
Yeah, Boomski unfortunately just never really a great position to play off of, it seems, in that post plan. Good that they got it to that position to begin with there, but unfortunately the early round just was not going their way in any fashion. A miracle that they got to the plant to begin with, and a valiant attempt in the 2v4, but Boomski's inability to really find a top-down position to work with, along with the quick moves from S4 there too to knock out both of the remaining players, allows, of course, for another round to be picked up by Nordik, as they're only 1 away from the tie now.
This is a really, really big deal here for Nordik and really blowing all expectations, out of the water. Even earlier on, we were talking about, what Jesse was saying on Twitter. This is Nordik's best map, but for their offensive side, not their defensive side. And they're running things back on this defense. They're going to head to console office. This one's a little unorthodox. We talked about that earlier on. This isn't something that we see too often anymore. And this is actually going to be the first time that we see this site on this map of Consulate. So we are going to have some adjustments come in from Nordik, though. We've already got a new addition to the squad, Warden, coming in, which is something that we also don't see too often. We'll have to see how they try and utilize him with those goggles, trying to make sure that no one can get stunned out. But he's also going to be offering up a deployable shield as well. So we could have some good anchor positions here, especially around the front desk area, like where C4 is putting this right now. We also can see, some aggressive deployable shields up into that long hallway area. So far, pretty strong setup here for Nordik. Oblivion not changing things up in the slightest. They're still feeling quite strong about this operator lineup, and honestly I am as well. They have everything at their disposal that they need to try and get into this site. The only thing that could hinder some of their success right now would be Boomski being on Thermite. That hard destructor, not exactly the best when it comes to console office.
On an overall kind of meta perspective here for Oblivion right now, we talked about earlier about how they were playing so heavily into the intel game, and for the most part they have continued to do that. A little bit less drone play in the previous round, but it seems like the problem is not necessarily coming from the amount of drone use, but rather from actually trying to execute on the intel from said drones. As we're not really seeing a lot of reaction, despite seeing potentially 2 to 3 drones go past the same player and whatnot. Not a lot of movement in that regard. So I wonder if that's one of the potential hitches here that's causing some problems for Oblivion. Is just kind of wasting more than a few drones on trying to reconfirm the same intel time and time again. Yeah,
that's the beauty of defense, right? You have one guy that
that's a nice find. Just as I'm talking about them not doing enough in the early round,
I think Cabal heard you. He heard you talking.
He's like, "What's that? Our drones aren't having enough impact. All right, I'll just get a kill."
Now watch this drive. That's what he said. Well, we are going to have some hard destruction early on here. Boomski getting rid of the single panel so they can see into projector. This is a great angle to work from this area. Shuts down a lot of those aggressive peaks here simply because of the distance that they have to engage in those gunfights, as well as the different positions that you can play on top of the desk. So always a strong pivotal place that you can stick to if you're worried about somebody forcing their way through projector. But Nordik reinforcing what's going on inside of projector, and that's exactly what we'd expect from them. But you still have to worry about this long hallway. Almost seemed like Lackey wanted to try and take a gunfight there, but just trying to reposition from behind that shield. Some strong positioning right now for Oblivion, but their drone economy not looking too strong. Baka and the whole rest of the squad lighting things up, but no, it's Lackey from behind, and then Ferda trades the kill on his teammate. That is probably one of the top 10 anime betrayals I've ever seen in my life. That is just something that you hate to see every single time it happens.
I guess he shot him, because I think he shot the guy in projector in the back of the head, right? Is what happened right there?
Who shot you? That's the real question.
Lackey, I think. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Lackey shot him, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a real big commitment to that kill as well. Really unfortunate turn of events for Nordik, but at the same time, great entry work from Oblivion. That's really the highlight of that round, because that hadn't been there in this half prior to this round, in my opinion, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we see them picking up these kills just left and right, and none of them are getting responded to. So really great work there from Oblivion to pick up a round in such convincing fashion. And now, because of them, because of the laurels they've already gained from the previous half and having the 5-1 half, well, they're already at match point.
Exactly. And the other thing along with that, like you were saying, they played the early game inside of that round really well, got those early picks, but I honestly do think it's because of the bomb site that Nordik went to, because Oblivion played windows so well right there, right? Their rappel game was super strong, able to get quite a few picks there, and then pressure in from admin office. Lots of positives there for Oblivion, and I think it caught Nordik off guard when S4 got picked inside of front desk. They weren't exactly ready for there to be pressure there, so it made it extremely awkward for them to try and work that long desk area, and that's exactly where Oblivion took control of everything. They basically steamrolled their way through projector, or the areas around projector to get those picks, and then eventually Nordik just having a very bad run of luck with that traded not only team kill but right into a death to end the round. So they're going to try and pick things back up, though. We are going to be going for something that we started to see more and more here. Goyo shield in front of the triple panel for garage, and then you put an electro claw right under it. So they're not going to be able to get rid of that electro claw unless they blow blow up that Goyo shield. And you can see they've already dedicated some ADSs around this area as well. But remember that ADS change is going to be a really big deal with how Oblivion are going to be able to handle this.
It's no longer a set number of projectiles that it's going to be able to eat up, but rather a number over a period of time. Like we said, 1 per 10 seconds is how many those are going to be able to eat up. If you want guaranteed, now you got to use the magnets from Womai in order to get that job done. And those mechanics have changed slightly as well, at least with regards to how they interact with the ADSs. So getting into the actual action of this round here, Storm is going to continue to have a very patient hold against any Visa run-ins here, and it's going to work perfectly too. Discover doesn't expect a thing here. Storms gets an easy pickup against Discover. Looking for another one as well, as sees that hatch get broken above him by one of his opponents, but he'll end up backing away from that one and take the safe route back downstairs. Continue to hold that man advantage that they now have. Not only that too, but Boomski took a pretty big hit. He's down at sub 25 already.
And pretty big shot to him, as well as we are having some other changes out of Oblivion coming in. That Ying play coming in from Cabal, but since it is going to be downstairs, might not have as much impact as they initially wanted it to have. Still obviously some really strong options here, but since, you know, Jaeger is in play, there is a chance of those Candelas getting eaten up by those ADSs, so they're going to have to be very cognizant of what's going on site and make sure to use Cabal's utility for those execution times. The problem with this now is that they didn't bring Ash. They do have plenty of explosives to be able to handle quite a bit of this utility on site, but really the only one with throwables to assist them is Boomski, and you can hear him wasting these stun grenades right now. 2 of them go off, not eaten up by really anything on site now, and well, they're at least going to be able to get some wall pressure here. Frag grenade in from Baka, gets rid of the Goyo shield, and that Electro Claw sky high as well.
Oh, I was waiting for that Nitro. We saw it get tossed up there about 30 seconds ago. It's not going to get the kill, but it is going to line up the damage there, even though S4 gets it on a headshot anyway. Down goes Baka. Oblivion down to 3 yet again here. They still have themselves the Candelas to try and use, though. Going to execute them through the floor, try and blind these players out, as now they need to make the push happen. They've only got 26 seconds left to make it work. Ferda gets it started out well, but he gets blinded by his own teammate's utility here. A bit of a misstep, but shouldn't be death knell of them just yet. Certainly going to hurt their case here, however. Skies finds the next frag here. Boomski's trying to get one, but he's already low, so the laser is going to take him down. He'll even die to it as well. So unfortunate. Cabal now the last player standing in the 1v4. A quick double is very nice, but is it enough to win the round? He's got 2 more to find, and he can't get either one of them. Sky shuts it down for Nordik as they get us to round number 12.
He unfortunately found the other guy with the LMG. So, you know, that's just kind of what happens. You just kind of shoot at each other back and forth through walls and see who dies first. Round 12, though, on deck in between these two. Nordik making a fantastic run back on this defensive side. It's been really, really strong. They've really stuck to the same playbook that we saw Oblivion stick to in their first half. Granted, Oblivion was a little bit more aggressive about things, but Nordik have really just been playing some off positions that continues to beg them these kills. It's almost like Oblivion really isn't respecting the info game. We talked about that earlier on, that a lot of their infos seem to find good information. They just couldn't capitalize on it inside of, you know, that time frame. They would find it on the other side of the map or something like that, where somebody really couldn't get there to assist with that. Well, now it seems as though they're not even really droning the initial rooms that they want to enter. Discover just kind of walks into Visa office and expects to have the room for free, and there's a guy laying in the middle of the floor. So I mean, when those kind of things happen, it really is as simple as, okay, we probably should have droned that instead. You know, so for Nordik, though, as long as they can continue to force Oblivion into these, you know, decision-making instances where, you know, Oblivion really wants to try and get the ball rolling early on. They're trying to make quick entries into the building, but since they're doing that, they're misstepping on some certain things. Nordik is continuing to take advantage of that and are winning these rounds simply based off of it. I mean, they really haven't had anything where Oblivion was so far ahead in the round that Nordik had to clutch up. It's really been Oblivion battling from their back foot, able to get some, you know, good punches in, but nothing that actually knocked them down.
All right, guys, so Oblivion's starting to fall behind here now, and with only one more round to really solidify the victories they've already gained for themselves. They've got to get it done here. Lackey getting aggressive, trying to see if he can catch players off spawn, running past the walls there, but maybe a little bit too early on that peak to try and catch that. Oblivion not going to be taken any damage early on here from any more aggressive movements from Nordik, but they still need to get ready for the early fight, especially if they're going to play on Repel here. Yep, Storms, once again, finding his need to get aggressive, immediately takes down Discover, only 30 seconds into the round itself, and it seems like this may not be the only piece of action we get here. We're already going to see one of the smoke charges used to block off access to the front door, as well as a couple of players from Oblivion trying their best to poke in through the piano and other windows in the same area here.
Oh, might have a possible kill here for S4 if he can find it, but good repel game here from Oblivion. Playing things patiently, trying to get some drones in for information, but not finding too much initially. The drone economy already shot for the offense. The only person having a drone being Cabal. That is literally it. There's one drone right now on this entire offense, and there's 1 minute and 50 seconds left. So I'll let you guys do the math on that one. But, yeah, Nordik just sitting pretty. There's nothing else you can say. Just sitting so pretty right now.
OT is almost a certainty, you could think, at this point here, unless Oblivion is somehow able to make their entry game work in near flawless fashion. But like Stokes was mentioning, there's only a single drone left, and more importantly, with it sitting on Cabal, I highly doubt we're going to be able to see them gather the intel that is absolutely needed for them to get to the inside here. Baka running right past one of his opponents there without catching it. Now S4 going to get the peek out. A lot of damage, but no actual kill as Ferda goes down to a little over 25 HP there. Off to survive the rest of the round here. Bit weaker than he was previously. Aside from that, Oblivion, no real signs of any commitment here. Still a little bit scared to take action, it seems.
Still really scared of an adjustment as well. I mean, again, we were talking about how much time we had, right? And we're already halfway through that timer, and they've just been standing outside staring at each other. This isn't necessarily the best thing for them. Oh no, Skies makes a critical error, holds F to try and pick up his smoke grenade, but ends up trying to put up a barricade instead and gets shot right in his face for it. So very unfortunate from him, but Nordik still have man count. Nice pickup here as Bozak still playing the vertical angles, and this is what we were talking about with that adjustment. Oblivion not worrying about map control, all except for Cabal, who's worked his way upstairs, gets a nice pick, and this actually might be the saving grace for them. Cabal needs to try and make some plays now, as Baka's going to get shot from Storms, but oh no, Cabal trying to work his way around the hatch, still has one to find, takes down one, 2 versus 1 now for him, full mag inside of the R4C. He does have a chance, but might be a snowball's chance in hell as he swings in the door, but tries to fake it on a sound cue. Rotates back around, finds him inside of the bathroom, but the shot goes wide. Not able to get it, and S4 pistol whips him to guarantee overtime with that bailiff.
I appreciate the effort there coming in from Cabal as well as the rest of Oblivion. Cabal specifically really trying to maximize the amount of trickery he could play with the movement and siege there. So props to him for that, just unfortunately doesn't work out. And additional props to S4 for being able to control the situation so well, guaranteeing us now that 6-6 scoreline and taking us into overtime.
That's the best thing to do in this game is, you know, sprint at a door, then run around the other way. And everyone's like, dude, this sounds so weird. I don't know what happened, you know? Just, well, I ran at a door and then I decided I don't want to go in that door. I went to a different door. But very, very unfortunate there for Cabal, actually. He was literally pixels above that Maestro's head, and if he was able to get that kill, that was most definitely winnable, but just was not the case there as we're forced into overtime. Nordik battling back on their map, and this is exactly what we wanted to see. It seemed like a one-sided affair off-rip, Nordik just not really being warmed up, but now we take a look over at the scoreboard, and it's looking quite similar to Oblivion's, running things up on these defensive halves, both of these teams, but the problem is now Oblivion inside of overtime have both of their rounds on, or the 2 rounds, excuse me, on defense. So Nordik playing 2 offensive rounds here. They'll be starting offense on this round, and this is really where Oblivion won all of their rounds simply because of people like Baka. Baka extremely potent on this defense, especially with smoke in that SMG-11. If they continue to allow them to have these large impacts early on inside of these defensive rounds, I still think that Oblivion's going to walk away with Nordik's map pick.
All right, well, let's see if Oblivion can get the job done since they do have the defensive start that Stokes was just talking about there. This has been an incredibly defender-sided map so far. It's time for Nordik to step it up, try to show us at least one attacking round here, that they can hopefully still find a victory for themselves and inch closer and closer to preserving their dreams of playing inside of the Canadian division come next year. Taking a look at the start of this round, however, it seems like it's going to be heavy pressure to the inside of Visa, top-down clear, as you might generally expect in this situation. And on the other side of that coin, on the defensive end of this, you're going to have Cabal and Ferda once again stepping up to the plate to try and stop it. But they also still have to deal with S4 on the rappel over by the CEO as well. And that's been an issue for them in the past here too. They've been getting picked off by this angle multiple times. Ferda seems to be very well aware of that though, as he's paying very close mind to that specific angle.
You know, this is a really, really big issue for him now. If he's restricted to this bathroom area, Nordik can just come in and pick him up whenever they damn well please. And as long as they continue to have this information, and here comes the pinch right now, John, it's already happening. Ferda, oh no, he's got some pings though. He knows some information's coming through, but I don't think he's going to be able to make the move. He's contesting this Pixel, takes down Lackey. Cabal on the other side of the map takes down Bozak, and that's exactly what we would expect. Cabal reinforces Ferda's position up top. Extremely intelligent play from these OB members. Swings outside. Oh, Skies with a shot from behind, saving S4's life as he swings into console. Nordik trying to assist upstairs with Ferda as he's still locked inside of this bathroom, trying to find his target through the wall, but he can't do it. He's been concussed, and that's going to be too difficult of a gunfight for him.
Appreciate the commitment. He didn't move an inch when he got hit by that Sophia there, but either way is unfortunately not going to be able to find the target anyway. S4 successfully takes him down, brings us into an even fight of 3v3, and more importantly here, as a side note for Nordik, they still have over a minute left, despite finding this many kills early on too, so a lot of opportunities for Nordik to make this work. They still got their hard breach to play with. There was some problems getting the garage open. I don't know if they were able to eventually get their way past that or not, but their way here. Nordik still very much in the round.
Oh, absolutely. Still a lot of options here for both of these teams. I mean, the only thing that's, really leaning towards one side is information. Oblivion has that in, multiple folds, and Nordik have absolutely zero right now. It's all face checking for them, and again, that runs into a lot of problems. This makes it to where Oblivion can play extremely aggressively, especially with the shotgun of people like Baka. Oh no, Boomski, line him up, knock him down. Plenty of damage off rip, but they know he's here now. Keep sending bullets, keep sending shots, but oh, it's Storms with the quick trigger as he moves in and takes down the Maestro. It's going to be up Baka and Discover to clutch things up. The top player and the bottom player. This is where Discover needs to get these frags, but Storms, oh man, Storms right in and walks all over this defense. Some beautiful shots from the ARX, and Nordik win a very important offensive round.
We're getting hyped about that one as well. We can see on the player cams there, they're getting closer and closer to closing out map number 1 here, especially considering the 1-5 start that their team had back in the first half over on regulation time. So this is a great beginning for Nordik. Now they just need to close out one more defensive round, which we already saw plenty of those back in the second half of regulation. They are very excited. More importantly, they were very much expecting to take this next round and shut down this map in 8-6 fashion.
And it's desperately needed. I mean, the map felt as though it really shouldn't have been that far gone in the first place. Nordik now seeming to come to light and show us what their true potential is here on Consulate. They showed Oblivion a lot of respect early on, and you have to, right? Like, Nordik haven't had the best season inside of the Canadian Pro League. Obviously, they're inside of the relegation match. Oblivion, young and hungry, trying to force their way into CPL. But now Nordik hitting their stride when they needed it most, especially on their map pick. A lot of the times we see this happen, but on the opponent's map pick, and they're not able to battle back. So having Nordik actually, get warm and start to battle back inside of these rounds and continuing to link together rounds, that's the most important thing. This has really proven that they can go, blow for blow with Oblivion. So Oblivion, they need to step up to the plate now. This offensive round, the most important one, more than likely, within this next map.
All right, let's see if Nordik can get the job done. They're going to be on the lobby hold once again, it looks like, here in order to try and accomplish that. Oblivion have been struggling with multiple aspects of trying to win out this round, so we'll see if they're going to be able to work their way past it yet again. The biggest thing, again, has been that early round roam clear, which, to be fair, they got a lot better at in their very last round. Now, whether it's going to be able to hold true or not, or that was just a one-round event from the Oblivion roster to show us, that much we'll hopefully figure out within this round itself. But either way, Oblivion was making improvements to their attack. It's, like I said, just started to show up a little bit late there. A lot of drone emphasis going on to the admin rooms to start off here upstairs, and they're going to have a swing to follow that up a couple seconds later. One player will commit to the inside. The ball still sits down below on the CEO, repels, and Bosak trying to maneuver himself between a couple different positions after taking a bit of damage from, I believe, a frag grenade chucked him through the window a couple seconds ago.
Still some very strong positioning here for both of these squads. Nordik with top control, and they want to try and maintain that. As John was saying, Bosak inside of connectors still has some OMI discs building up inside of his pocket. Plenty of time on the board here for both of these squads to try and work this map. But Oblivion mostly bailing into the building on the east side, trying to work things from admin. Is Bosak getting quite aggressive here, just trying to see if he can get any good pressure to the outside of the building onto anyone possibly on suicide balk or playing down low. But for Oblivion, it's all about projector here and what they can possibly do with that connector area. They're worried about Womai in there. They know his positioning, and he can't exactly leave now either. Again, it's Bosak as well as Lackey upstairs trying to contest, but it's Boomski off rip to take down Bosak. Lackey's got the cross, but he's going to miss the initial shots. Walks right into Boomski's crosshairs, and he gets yet another.
That's 2 big kills right there from Boomski, opening up massive amounts of opportunity for the Oblivion roster to at minimum play with upstairs control and begin to hopefully clear things out with the rest of the roam game too. S4 is still going to look to cause problems from the top of yellow here, and Sky's also still present inside of the site itself, not to mention the diffuser is down. However, I'm assuming in a position where Oblivion can really easily retrieve it should the need arise. Another frag picked up, this time by Discover. Ferda does the same thing. S4 hasn't been realized yet, and well, to be fair, he's down to a 1v5. They haven't isolated him out. He's more than likely going to get this first kill for free. He might be able to make something happen here. We'll see. Missed the opportunity on the plant. Finally going to commit to a spray, and it's so unfortunate. Misses the opportunity to get the kill. The adjustments have already been made in those few couple seconds that he just got spotted, and there you go. There's the rotate from Discover back upstairs to take him down and shut down the round, as both teams will take attacking rounds in OT, and it now goes to the final one to decide the map.
Back and forth we go between these two squads. Regulation, all defense. Overtime, all offense. So we'll see if Nordik will be the team to win things out here with their offensive round, but it's feeling as though it could be anyone's game. Oblivion back on defense. They're headed towards lobby. They flashed cafeteria first, so they did think about that basement site just for a split second, but they had already lost that. Much rather go back to lobby, where some very critical mistakes could happen for Nordik. This site relies quite a bit on repel as well as pressure to the front of the building, but you need that top control. We see a lot of squads start with that admin take, clear across into projector, and try and get some pressure on those players upstairs. Let's see if that's going to be what Nordik want to try and do this time around. Also, we're having a 6 pick come in here. Going to be getting rid of that Habana, bringing in the ace with that AK-12.
Discover also 6 picks in the Alibi away from a Kaid, so another interesting pickup there for the members of Oblivion. And we'll see how that hopefully amplifies the roam game a bit here now. From that, though, setup should look relatively similar to what we just saw from Nordik on the previous round here. Not much of a reason we would expect too much of a change-up in that regard, at least here, as we see those last couple reinforcements, as well as any pre-placed holes they need to make, starting to be finished up here by the Oblivion roster.
All right, well, Nordik about to be out the gate for the final time here on Consulate, and will that final time be a victory or defeat? Well, we have 3 minutes to find out here, folks, so hold on to your seats. This should probably be a aggressive round here from both of these squads. You can already see Nordik really cognizant of what's going on with this window play outside, approaching the building slowly, making sure nothing's broken and that they can possibly get an early frag. Are going to get some early drones in here, and this is to be expected. Cabal backing off quite early as well. That one, not so much. Cabal, an aggressive player so far throughout this series, but he is very good about worrying about that timer, so it seems as though he really wants to lean on that and make sure he plays his life instead of just trying to get a kill for that 1-for-1.
First minute of the round just about having gone by here now. Still slow days for Nordik. That's somewhat to be expected in a siege game. Going to see them clear out admin relatively quickly and start to move that over. Hopefully finishing off with the players upstairs getting cleared as well. But we've got a pretty heavy commitment here from the Oblivion roster. Baka, Discover, and one more as well, all remaining in this upstairs position, looking to fend off the swings from Nordik, as they know at this point, obviously we've seen so many rounds getting played out, right? They know they're going to opt for this upstairs hold, or excuse me, this upstairs clear. But despite that, they're still going to lose the initial fight as S4 is able to take down Baka. That's a very important player to have it go down as well here.
Yeah, the most clutch player so far on this Oblivion roster, continuing to impress us so far with his defensive prowess, especially on smoke. And that doesn't mean he didn't do too much on offense either. He's definitely still an impact, but not as much as that smoke play. They'll definitely be missing him for this last minute and 20 seconds. Nordik, though, very strong start here with that pickup. Still have to worry about that top control, though, from Oblivion. Boomski trying to get aggressive to the outside of the building. Still plenty of drone game available to Nordik as well. So intel could come in quite handy here as the glass is going to break in front of Boomski. That's a big deal, actually. It's going to allow audio in, so he'll be able to keep track of where that repelled player is. But Oblivion already making some adjustments on site here, adjusting offsite over to the towards bottom spiral, keeping a few anchor positions alive, but oh no, looks like they want to try and force this case play now. Ferda can't find the man on the connector window. Anti-chamber just not working out. Boomski hops out the window, gets one, has the Alda. He's going to be able to contest quite a few gunfights here, but they're not even worried about him. Somebody please turn around. Oh my, Bozak gets him, but immediately gets taken down. Nordik looking quite strong, especially with the diffuser now planted. It was planted on the other side of the room, and now discover when you're needed most, you're going to have to get 3 kills and defuse the bomb. You have to worry about a man upstairs. He's not worried about him at all, and Storms takes him down. Nordik battles back through the gauntlet to take their own map and push us onto Clubhouse.
All the way from a 1-5 deficit. Quite a comeback indeed from Nordik in order to take control of their own map pick here in map number 1, but it's very much in deserved fashion, especially when we look at their attacker-sided rounds there. Had so much control, especially over a lot of the early round situations, and usually in pretty clean fashion in the late round as well, led them to have a storming comeback, taking this all the way to OT, but they would eventually close it out with 2 attacker rounds won there as well. Great work from Nordik, and now they sit only 1 more map win away from preserving their spot in the Canadian Pro League. We're not going to be too far away from that second map either, folks. Stick with us, and it's going to be coming up right around the corner, right after this break.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Canada Division, and our relegation match is so much drama so far. It looked like Oblivion, they were just going to have their way. You saw clutches coming through left and right, but most importantly, Nordik found their groove, made it to overtime, and then wound up winning the map. Fellas, what happened?
It was a total 180 from one half to the other. It was a 5-1 advantage for Oblivion when they were done on defense, and then we kind of thought they were just going to run away with it. We know how prolific that they can be on Consulate. It doesn't fall their way. Nordik play way more structured, way more together. They bring back a 5-1 half on defense by themselves, and they also pulled out a pretty surprising attack win in overtime to help solidify things, because Oblivion just fell apart when push came to shove on defense. And that overtime, 3 rounds specifically, was really pivotal, but they just couldn't pull it together.
Yeah, I was a little scared that our Quebec friends were going to give up this spot in next season a little bit too easily, but really great job for them to be able to fight back. Of course, their defense is proving to be just too much for Oblivion. And then OT, that sudden switch to 3 attacker wins in a row, that was pretty surprising as well. But I'm glad that teams were finally able to work out some of those attacking issues and do a lot of good work.
Look at the hype piece. He stands up. He gets ready to knock down the green screen, but that's going to be it for map number 1. So, most importantly, this was a back and forth game, and Jesse, there was something that was happening on both sides that you really wanted to talk about, because even though we got the new meta involved, the patches here, we all thought the 20-second meta was going to be gone, but still, both of these teams pretty much struggled when it came to the roam clear, right?
Yeah, 100%. The roam clear was an issue for both squads, and I think for different reasons. You know, in those first 6 rounds, Nordik, they were really scared of the players on Oblivion, and I think that was clear because Oblivion set the pace just in those first couple of rounds, with Ferda doing a lot of really great work in rounds 1 and 3, and Baka getting some great plays as well late with those 3Ks. Of course, you know, we saw Cabal. He's been pretty hyped up going into this matchup, and while he did kind of just die in a couple of those rounds, he was playing aggressive, and he was saying, hey, I'm here, you're gonna have to deal with me. And so Nordik played pretty slow. They played pretty scared of those roamers in the first half. Then we saw things switch over. Oblivion also struggled. I think on their half, they struggled a little bit more dealing with that utility that was oftentimes being used on the roam, whether that was, you know, on a lobby defense, and there'd be like shields upstairs they couldn't really deal with. Both teams definitely struggled with that. But then when we switched to overtime, both teams sort of overcame their difficulties. You know, Nordik had that confidence built up from their defensive half, and they really did get aggressive on those roamers. They cleared them out quickly, and then we saw it just in round number 13. I mean, Storm's going crazy in those dying seconds, pushing and getting the kills. And similarly, Oblivion managed to deal with the utility pretty well in round 14. That lobby attack, they took out the shields, forced those roamers back, and managed to get at least one win in that overtime round 14.
So with this meta, Jesse, do you think that we're still going to see like a lot of great shield play? And you were also talking about how you love to see Alibi there because she has a great gun, she can roam, and also she has a shield to help out her teammates.
Yeah, I mean, like, the meta's different for sure, and I think the changes that have come to the game with the new patch are great. But shield meta's not dead. You know, utility dump is still here, and teams can't just ignore that. I thought that round 11 was a really great example of that. We saw Cabal attacking on Garage, and he opted for the Ying rather than the Ashe. When the enemy team is bringing, you know, Banshees and Shields and Evil Eyes, you just can't make that sacrifice. You know, we got to the dying seconds of that, and when they went for the push inside of the garage door, they had so many bits of utility that were just staring at them because they didn't have an Ashe. You just give up 3 explosives, and you can't do that. Teams, you know, it's going to be easier to attack an utility dump, but you can't ignore it.
Right, and Jacob, now you. We heard about Baka earlier on when Jesse was explaining the individual play with these rosters, and you were saying that Baka and the rest of his teammates, they focus a lot on individual success, right? You take a look at Nordik. They played as a team, man. What were your thoughts about that?
Well, Baka had 2 really important clutches on their own defense round, and I think Jesse brought up a good point while we were watching it. It was a 4-0, and had it not been for both of those clutches from one player, it probably would have been a 2-2 game at that stage through 4 rounds. However, there were a lot of really good clutch plays for a lot of players on Oblivion. Problem is, we hyped up Cabal at the beginning, and he didn't really show up as much. We also had Discover, who's playing as a sub, by the way, so to his credit, he still did a pretty darn good job. It was an 8-7 game, so it wasn't a total failure, but he definitely didn't perform up to snuff like we know he can do if you're familiar with the Canadian scene. So for Oblivion, it very much seemed as though they relied heavily on those individual plays. But when it came to Nordik, they had a lot more structure to it. There just wasn't somebody who necessarily stood out as like the overall best performer on that team because they didn't need to worry about it. They were a much more cohesive unit, and it showed when push came to shove on their own defense half and through overtime. They made things work. They didn't get super aggressive. They played on calls. And if this kind of thing happens on Clubhouse, I'm a little bit worried for Oblivion's chances.
I mean, Oblivion, so the thing is, I mean, we can all say, oh yeah, you know, they're up 4-0, but half the rounds were from clutches. But they were having a lot of success, and I personally didn't like when they started playing close to the chest when it came to their playstyle. I love their aggression. But going into map 2 is going to be Clubhouse. And Jesse, you're expecting something from these teams.
Yeah, I think Clubhouse is going to be a bit different of a ball game. You know, I tweeted it, and then Blue talked about it on stream as well. Consulate is Nordic's best map. It was the map they picked. It's the map they're undefeated on across the Canadian division. And it was still a bit of a weak showing. It was a bit of a slow start.
That was their best map?
Yes, they are 2-0, well, 3-0 now on Consulate in their history in the Canadian division. It's the only map they've never lost. Now we go to Clubhouse, and this is, of course, Oblivion's pick, but it's a map that they haven't had to show. Oblivion have never played this map on stream, ever, unless you can count Tier 3 leagues, which I'm not, I don't know what the stats on that. But still, I mean, this is going to be really big for Oblivion to have that information advantage. They've hidden it a little bit better. And the meta might shape out a little bit differently as well. I am certainly worried for Nordik going forward.
All right, so you're worried for Nordik, but Nordik, they are one map away to be safe in Canada's side of things. But Oblivion, let's see if they can have that comeback. Bloom and Stokes, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Vele. It is indeed time, ladies and gentlemen, to jump into map number 2 here. Clubhouse is among us, and we are about to get started with it. Nordik going up against Oblivion here. And for the folks over on Oblivion, Of course, they are now risking a potential loss and a knockback down into Challenger League if they're not careful about the results of this match. Nordik, of course, one more map away from being able to re-secure their position in the Canadian division going into 2021. Stokes, what do you make of this as we get ready to head into Clubhouse here?
Clubhouse, I'm looking for it to be a very strong map from both of these teams. They both seem to be quite fit for a defensive play style, or at least the defensive side of the coin here in Rainbow Six. So I'm excited to see what they both have to offer, but really I still feel as though this is Oblivion's game to lose. As Jesse was saying, I really feel as though the road is still very difficult for Nordik ahead, but that does not mean that they can't come out on the other side a victor. They could 2-0 right here, and even with that 2-0, it still would not tell the full tale of what happened here between these two squads. But we're going to be jumping in right now, folks. Nordik versus Oblivion, map 2 here on Clubhouse. Let's get it started.
All right, folks, let's take a look at the bans here and see where exactly we are going to be headed in this territory. Another map here, like we said, more operators have been added to the pool since the last time you saw us here on this channel. Most notably, Zero is now allowed in for play, and on top of that, Echo has been re-added with the most recent changes to him. The two newest operators to the pool, however, are still in their competitive quarantine, that being the rework of Tachanka, as well as the newest actual new operator that's come into the pool as well.
Thatcher and Capitao are going to be our offensive bans here for Clubhouse. Pretty straightforward stuff. Capitao, again, still being a very potent operator as well as Thatcher. This will be a mirror from our previous map as well, but I think it's going to have more of an impact overall in how the map plays. Mira going to be banned out from Oblivion. This isn't an operator that we see too often on Clubhouse, but we've seen her begin to make her way back into the fold, you know, more often than not here, especially downstairs on some of the setups that we've seen recently. And then last but surely not least, Valkyrie getting cut out inside of this Clubhouse map. Just way too potent, and I think this has really been brought to the forefront recently on how good Valkyrie is as an operator. Those cameras not only make you self-efficient with that op, but also just give you so much intel that you can relay back to your team. She's just never a bad choice to bring inside of your lineup. The same reason why you know, a lot of people discussed things about Jaeger for so long. There was never a bad time to have him.
Of course, she's received some recent changes, most notably just to her secondary kit as she lost the shield and got given impacts, if I remember it correctly. So that's changed her up slightly as well, but it's not going to be any major shifts to the playstyle that we've already seen become so prevalent when she isn't banned, which is starting to become more and more of a rarity in recent times. Seeing the pick come in, though, we're going to go right upstairs to CCTV to start things off at the beginning of our second map between these two things. Once again, if you are just joining us, Nordik are in the lead, and they are looking to shut down this series and re-qualify for the Canadian Pro Division going into the next year of competition. Whereas for Oblivion, they're looking to knock Nordik out of that spot and into it themselves.
They're trying to take their spot, send them down to CL, and force them to try and re-qualify next year. This is something that happens a singular time a year. So if you get knocked out, that's an extremely big deal. Nordik does not want to lose that PL spot. Oblivion obviously want to jump in there, and this is a huge game for Oblivion overall. You know, a pretty cool roster. Was reading on Twitter actually in between maps that Cabal put out a nice tweet about them running the certain charm on their gun to be able to support, you know, people that are cancer survivors and things like that, which is a really cool thing. I think that's awesome, that especially on a day like today, one of the biggest days for a lot of these players here, you know, a chance to get into Pro League or defend your Pro League spot, that they opted to, you know, make it something that's a little bit more charitable. I just think that's a really cool thing that they did.
I believe that's the 6th Guardian turn.
Yes, sir, it is.
The name correct. That's it's a new initiative from Ubisoft. They started with this patch, where there's going to be that charm you can run or purchase, and it'll support a, I believe, a rotating selection of different charities at Ubisoft's discretion. So that's the charity I believe that's been selected for this month. We'll be supporting cancer survivors as well as those currently dealing with it. It's a nice gesture there from the Oblivion roster, as we're seeing them now getting ready. Already dealing with the balcony reinforcement very quickly as well here, opening up access to them to work their way in.
Yeah, CCTV wall already open, but there's a firm grip around this site right now from Oblivion on all sides. Storm's going to get an initial drone, but oh no, frag grenade out, gets rid of the Goyo shield as well, and that's the Discover that we need to see starting things off here on Clubhouse. Had a very poor game there on Consulate. When they needed him most, he was just nowhere to be, and well, now starting things off right. This is exactly what you want if you're an Oblivion fan. Nice picks early on and great map control overall once again. Now Nordik need to battle back. They need this initial pick. They still have some really strong positions though. Skies, especially sitting here inside of the catwalk and garage, can keep pretty good control over multiple things. I don't think that Cabal and Oblivion really want to try and force their point through the CCTV wall. They really want to try and handle things through construction and wait to see if Cabal can get some people on rotate.
A little over a minute remaining here, so Oblivion will have to start putting their foot down on the gas relatively soon, although not just yet, especially with them already having a man advantage to build off of there. S4, after finding an initial trade against Boomsy, tries to go for double, and unfortunately, he's going to meet his match against Discover, who takes him out of the round. Brings us down into a 4v2. Still strong control here for the Oblivion roster, and now even stronger, with Nordik now being down to just Skies. Great first pick from him here as he takes down Discover. Still hiding out on the balcony. 37 seconds left for Oblivion, but they've already worked their way past Skies and are beginning the plant. He's going to try to rotate for this, work his way over towards the bottom of red stairs, but there's players watching him at nearly every position. He'll take even more damage going past the blue window. It's been flashed out here as well, going to cause even further delay, but he's not deterred, still convinced that he can make a play for this, and obviously has to at this point in the 1v3 scenario. Trying to wrap himself up for the pre-fire at the top stairs, but to be fair, Nordik doing a great job of just not giving him the fight, constantly and slowly just backing away from him until ultimately Cabal has the shot needed to shut that down.
Cabal just all over the field, dominating this defense so far from Nordik. Oblivion, really strong start here, handled the map very, very well, got the pressure in on the opposite side of the map, unbeknownst to Nordik, and that was the main problem. They really didn't know that the adjustment had already been made and that, the jig was up. There was already a massive amount of pressure coming towards the construction area. Nobody on the initial cam up top on main stairs, and that's really where they ran into a lot of those problems. Once construction got blown to pieces by that frag grenade from Discover, they really weren't able to battle back. They didn't have the map control in order to do so. So what does Oblivion do? They just start to pick off all the odds and ends, get some really strong positions for crosses, and are just able to walk right into sight, get that case down, and start things off right for this offense.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
All right, guys, so taking a look at round number 2 here, things start out well for Oblivion, not so much for Nordik, but the good news is they still have plenty of opportunities to correct that and make up the difference as we get deeper and deeper into this half. They'll go for the basement defense next year. Definitely going to see a little bit of an active presence from them, but it could end up being relatively minor considering the successes that we saw from the attackers in the previous round. Any sort of roam game that we'll see come out from Nordik on this one is, in my opinion, more likely going to end up being relatively contained, just based on the fact that they're already struggling dealing with the aggression from Oblivion, and this is traditionally the site where you see teams turtle pretty heavily inside of the site itself.
5 seconds to go.
Okay, as you said, basement, turtle, that's what we're usually going to be going for, but Nordik might possibly have some other avenues that they want to pursue here, especially with Storms in this Vigil. Aggressive on blue stairs right now, could possibly rotate back down, but it seems as though he's really just going for some possible early picks, especially in this bar connector area. That's a really, really strong spot to play early on, just simply because of the angle. You're able to see under that door and kill anybody that approaches quite early. Storms, though, getting pressured from outside, but I don't know if Oblivion exactly knows that he's made this adjustment. They're going to have to work this drone game. Storm's already switching back on that backpack, and he's been Jackal tracked. This is now a really big problem. This is where Vigil's kit all of a sudden goes out the window when Jackal's on the field. When Jackal's able to get those, tracks on him, Storm's anything to do with that backpack just doesn't even matter. He's going to continue to get pinged, and they'll know exactly where his movements are coming from, but he's making the best of it. He's already adjusted back into the bar area. They have no idea that he's here, but he's going to shoot. Sledge gets him. Discover wins the gunfight. Should have never happened, but Discover comes out on top as he's continuing to dominate Clubhouse. Just seemed like Consulate really wasn't for him, but Clubhouse most definitely is.
Early lead going to go into the hands of Oblivion as a result of that. Now we have to see how they carry it forward. Maki is looking to put it down, though, and in fact, he's going to succeed in doing that. Takes out Ferda. They even had intel on him if you caught that passing drone on the top right of the screen when he went down the stairs. But despite having that intel, couldn't counter out the swing. We now are back into an even situation, but Bach is going to look to change that up. He's found himself a foot. Is it going to find him an open target, though? Absolutely not. That player is as safe as can be right now.
Well, still plenty of damage done to Nordik, and definitely winnable for both of these squads right now. Only main issue isn't too much utility left for Nordik, at least secondary utility-wise. Still plenty on the walls to be able to slow down Oblivion, but they do have Cabal here with the torch, so this could be a pretty big problem. Bozak might actually get aggressive here. They need some overwatch, but it's actually from up top instead of the bar. So really, really nicely done. Nitro Cell's going to be botched, and now Bozak's going to run into a lot of issues here. Going to get aggressive with the shotgun, but that's not going to matter. They're quickly going to get the wall open. He does have a shield to play off of, though, and the M590 is strong from this position, but as long as these stun grenades are getting poured in, this is going to be quite a bit of pressure. He's full white as he adjusts over to black box, and Oblivion start to constrict around this site.
Discover just chucks the nade in order to get the job done. Instead, that's going to take out Bozak, eliminate the mute from this situation. S4 still in the play as he just now uses his final gas grenade. That gets chucked out. Delay the play a little bit further, but unfortunately also end his life. He goes down. Discover and Cabal also getting kills as now Skies goes down too. All up to Lackey here in the 1v4 scenario, and he's not going to be able to do much. Cabal shuts him down. Oblivion gets a solid round number 2.
This is some extremely, extremely good gameplay from Oblivion. You know, very strong adjustments, and overall, every single member of the squad being on the same page. You can definitely tell why they picked Clubhouse. They're handling things, again, extremely well. There's no other real way to put it. All except for, I will say this, they're plugging themselves into what's going on, like play by play, extremely, extremely well. I can't say anything else again. But Cabal especially, making these plays where, you know, he's making the adjustments, like going over to dirt tunnel, you know, rotating inside to get pressure from a different angle, things like that. That's what you want to see the members of the offense doing quite often. It helps out quite a bit, because then you always obviously have some sort of presence up against the defense, and as long as they have that pressure upstairs to be able to lock down those staircases, they can continue to apply a lot of pressure from multiple angles, because the defense won't be able to deal with it. Nordik, with that issue going on downstairs in basement, they're going to head upstairs here, back to CCTV. Not too much of an adjustment, though. They are actually going to be setting back up the shield inside of construction. We'll see if Skies adjusts an ADS over here to try and assist with that, but so far this is seeming like very textbook round for Oblivion. Simply, you know, mirror what you did the last time, trying to handle the map in a similar fashion, and you're more than likely going to get the same result.
Let's see now if Nordik can pick up the pace and finally get themselves onto the board now that they're repeating a site for the first time. Trying to go back upstairs, see if things will fare better for them. We've got the electric claws on the wall, for instance, whereas I think they used a possible mute jammer previously. And either way, it was dealt with relatively quickly by Cabal on the Maverick, and I see no reason why things would be different here on round number 3. As soon as they realize that it is electrified, well, they're more than likely going to put that torch on it to deal with it.
All right, well, Oblivion out on the field for the 3rd time. Already some quick work being done here by OB, getting the CCTV wall open once again. Cabal, quick with the torch work. Already got the top line done. Now just needs to work on the bottom. Once he gets this, and it's relatively straightforward. They're more than likely going to adjust across again, because they don't have to worry about Cabal outside on plat. They just want to try and get rid of that. Gets rid of that center beam. Finally, there we have a soft wall, and Becca picking up that buck as well. Had him here Baka having the skeleton key here as well to be able to pop the wall open. So just some strong positions, as well as a different take on how to handle the CCTV area. We usually just see that pop with, you know, really anyone else. Don't see Buck too often anymore, but with recent adjustments and things along those lines, having stun grenades as a secondary utility is quite potent, especially with that kit, as he is a really, really good soft destructor.
Storm is still engaged in that duel on the other side of the map as well. That's definitely a very important one, as it's going to decide how quickly or how slowly you potentially see the Oblivion side push into this. So you'll notice that he's still maintaining the position in construction, kind of half and half with it. If you'll note, he's got a very easy fallback in case things get a little bit too close for comfort, which may very well be the case soon. He's going to continue to set up things like those magnets in order to try and slow down the utility chucks from Oblivion that are looking to get past him here. A little over a minute remaining. There goes one of those magnets now. Second one, I believe, also going to get eaten up pretty quickly, as that's now both of the stun charges gone. Still has one more impact charge to use, though, after just using a 3rd one right there.
Oh, we are going to have some holes made, and what a great play from Oblivion. Cabal with the torch, Discover with the trigger. Nice kill by them to take control of construction, excuse me. Baka now from down low with the skeleton key. Put some work in on the cache ceiling right into the main site area. Able to get a trade, though, here as Boomski, as him and Bozak trade out. Skies with a kill of his own, now down into the 2 versus 2. Still have to be able to get this case down, though, as Discover's all the way across the map. Cabal in tow. Discover with a very nice pick as S4 puts his face in somewhere where it definitely should not be. All of a sudden, it's all down to Skies. Still plenty of time for both of these teams, but really is on Skies to try and clutch this up. And they've got some good intel on him already. Realize that he tried to rotate through the hole, but don't know if they exactly know where he is. Great adjustment here by Skies. Early rotation, catching Discover off guard, and now he's got Cabal just waiting for this frag. Cabal on very low HP, but Skies is going to drop off. Cabal is going to grab the case, starts the plant off. This is going to have to be all hands on deck for Skies. He needs to bull rush up this staircase, but I don't think he's going to have him on timer. Goes to the wrong spot. Cabal's going to get the plant off Skies. No wall bang available for him. He can try it, but doesn't go for it just yet. Some nice shots. Actually get some damage off of it, seems. Just a tick there, but Cabal actually taking that as he ditches out the wall. He's going to go for, oh my, is it going to happen again, John? We've been here before. Skies diffusing through the wall, right around him, but Cabal finally straightens out the shot, takes down Skies. Some really heads-up gameplay there from him to try and get that diffused through the wall.
Cabal knew what was happening too. Cabal was like, all right, I've seen this before. I watched the major. So he quickly goes in and just does the lion spray to try to find the headshot. And thankfully he gets it. A little bit close for comfort, but it doesn't manage to make the effort in order to close out the 1v1 and keep the record so far flawless for our attackers here.
Yeah, some good stuff by both of these squads, but it's just been OB time and time again to win this out. Really, really strong in all of their positions and how they're playing off of each other. They're simply just making plays with the utility and what they have at their disposal, and it's working extremely well for them. Nordik is trying to put up some more obstacles in their path, but it's too little too late. They're not thinking ahead of the game. They're reactive instead of proactive, and that's where they're running into these issues. We saw the Wamai adjustment come in, especially with the ADS, as they tried to stack things inside of construction, so they didn't have to deal with all those throwables over the wall. So what does Oblivion do? Well, they just rotate Cabal across and torch the wall instead and shoot the guy. That's what they do. They don't really try and bypass too many of those obstacles put in place by them by Nordik. Granted, they did throw quite a bit of utility in from the construction door, but when it came down to it, we didn't see a grenade get dedicated inside of construction. They just tried to handle it through other means, which seemed a lot simpler for them. Very well played by Oblivion overall once again, as they continue to be proactive on this offense, throwing different looks at Nordik.
Nordik trying their hardest to find a footing that they can use to get themselves into this map, and it looks like they're going to try to do it over in bedroom and gym now as the site shifts continue to evolve here. Going really deep into the sites as well in order to make this one happen, as this is for sure going to be the off-site for most teams here. Nordik at this point just hoping that it's a site that maybe Oblivion are not going to be as comfortable with, that they can use the standard defender setup in order to leverage finally a round for themselves on this defensive half.
This map especially is really showing the differences in how much that utility mattered inside of, the 20-second meta and what the defense had at their disposal. These ADSs aren't nearly as potent as they were. Bozak's C4 actually getting knocked down. That was very unlucky timing for him. When Discover sledged, the falling particles actually grabbed the nitro cell and took it to the ground, so not able to get it out of the hatch and actually get any damage off. That's just an unfortunate one for him, but Nordik overall very, very aggressive. We're trying to get these picks. Softwall already on Jacuzzi for Oblivion, so they can return to that later on with some soft destruction. That'll more than likely be Baka, but it's now Discover getting lit up downstairs from what seems to be vertical hole. Or actually, no, it's from across inside of bars. Some great map awareness here as some really, really strong positions here for Nordik downstairs.
Nordik continuing to maintain what they have here, but for how long is the question? Down to about a minute and a half remaining here. Nordik, at what point are they going to be satisfied with the time wasted and retreat the actual site defense? That's still to be seen. Oh, what a nade, too. Nearly deletes S4 in its entirety. A little bit more well thrown, and it indeed would have gotten him down. But Cabal's going to fall on trying to entry. Discover, in fact, will get outright eliminated upon trying to do the same thing. And Lackey's hiding under a table in the meantime.
I'll be honest, I've never seen that one.
I've never seen that either.
He's going to die anyway, so good eyes there from Ferda. So, Lackey's
in an earthquake preparedness drill right now. That's what he's doing.
He's got to crawl under his desk. This is how does explain to me how my school desk stops a bullet or like a tornado. I don't get it. Ferda is gonna actually end up like that. That's just such a nice kill there from Ferda. S4 now taken down. Sky's been taken down inside of sight, but he's gonna get res back up. Some strong positions now. Storm's actually taken down from Baka outside. That's an adjustment we were talking about earlier on. But here's the main issue now for Nordik. They're stuck inside of logistics and they really don't have any means to get out. They do have a rotate hole through secret, but Baka already going to get one kill. Can he follow through with the second? He can. It's going to be a trade, but doesn't even matter. Oblivion all over Clubhouse.
Oblivion looking unstoppable right now on this attacking side, even with a less than stellar start to the round, still able to rebound very, very well and make sure that things stay under their control. And so far, in flawless fashion, at 4-0, yet to see a response from the folks over on Nordik. But at the same time, we had the same exact thing happening in our previous map when we had the folks from Oblivion on defense. And it was on this very round where I believe we finally saw the first round get made for the Nordik roster. They're now going to head back to basement for this one.
This has just been Oblivion blowing Nordik out of the water once again. I don't want to, get the cart in front of the horse just because of, what happened in the previous map. I really do feel as though both of these teams are quite defensive-sided. But we'll have to see. You know what I mean? It could be, Nordik is all of a sudden really on that offensive grind here for Clubhouse. But so far, so good for Oblivion. These offenses coming together so well, which I don't necessarily think is going to slow down on defense. I mean, this is their map pick. We expect the defenses to go really well when it is someone's map pick. So Oblivion could be pushing us to a map 3 quite early here on Clubhouse.
All right, guys, Oblivion off to a hot start yet again, just like our previous map, but is it going to stay that way? That's the question. Against another basement attack, things are looking promising. Take a look at what Nordik specifically is going to try to do themselves. They did have a pretty hefty turtle setup the last time we went to this, and there's not really much of a reason why it would be different. The operator lineup looks very similar to the last time they defended it as well. So aside from maybe 1 to 2 players that'll be holding on the second floor, we can see in the case of Storms right now, it is indeed going to be very, very heavily compressed to the inside of the bomb site itself here for Nordik. And even Storms, I imagine, if things start to look a bit rough, he will very quickly look for a path back downstairs.
Well, I have quite a few options, but the main issue is that Oblivion's done a really good job of setting up these crosses, but not so much about the early aggression. That's a beautiful pick up there for Storms and much needed. Nordik now setting pace, but he's going to get Jackal tracked here. We need some pressure from Oblivion to back up this information, but I don't believe that we're going to get any. Storms is going to play this extremely patiently. He doesn't want to try and get aggressive downstairs. He knows that he can waste time up top, but this is going to allow Discover to adjust inside of construction. Technically speaking, inside of logistics, but he's just holding that cross on the back end, so limiting Storms' potential to rotate across the map and make a muck of things over in your kitchen.
Yeah, Storms at a minimum, even if he dies right now and just has the 1 kill, is wasting a massive amount of time here, as Oblivion have to full stop their clear of the basement and commit 2, if not 3 players to try to take care of him, which that's 50 to 75% of the team now that they've lost Boomski. So this is a pretty major deal here as long as Storms can stay alive, but Cabal with just the slow crawl out there from top red quickly dispatches of him, trades it back out. Now leaves the remaining minute and a half here for Oblivion to take control of the basement itself. That
guy's an absolute monster. It seems as though every gunfight we get in, he's just trying to dominate one of those angles, whether it be slow peeking or his pre-fires. The guy is a lights out, Rainbow Six player. It's been extremely impressive so far what he's been able to produce. But Cabal back to work now with that torch. Make sure those welds are OSHA approved before he drops that hatch in. One more line here, and everything should be right as rain. Ferda, as well as the rest of Oblivion, though, still waiting for that work to be done, and once it is, they'll actually be able to collapse onto site. So it's just patient work here for them, as they're still looking for their picks onto Nordik. Still plenty of information at their disposal as well. Granted, Bozak does have some mute jammers down, but he no longer has a life either. So Nordik, all of a sudden, in quite a bad spot. They're mostly focused on blue as well, which means Discover can make a pretty crazy push down main stairs.
Gonna start trying to delay this a little bit more here with the gas grenades. One goes up to the hatch, one goes down below. Only gonna be 1 more remaining after that if they didn't already use the 3rd one somewhere else, which thankfully they didn't. Discover trying to go for his 2nd nade frag here as he chucks it in. Not really sure what ended up happening to it as I didn't hear an explosion go off, but either way, he's gonna be rushed past that final Gas grenade that's thrown out by S4, and now he holds the position on the inside of Moto. Not really any clear targets to the inside of Blue, though. Only seeing bits and pieces of players. Smoke is going to go down past the cross. They've only got 10 seconds left to work their way in, but Lackey's not been dealt with either. Him and Skies will control the situation, and Nordik will finally get onto the board, just like the last map on round number 5.
Unfortunate there for the offense. They try to go for the late adjustment, but Discover's not able to find anything as all the Nordic members just kind of dance around just reticle. Nothing really there for him. Tries to pre-fire late off of some initial visual cues, but not able to get too much. So Nordic walking away with a really, really good round there, and that's a highlight of that roam there from Storms on the Vigil. I think they're going to continue to attempt to do that, put pressure on this offense to try and clear out Storms. They're going to be bringing Mozzie into the fold here, which could assist quite a bit with the intel game. They've had an issue with that. Oblivion continuing to have quite a few drones going into that last minute, either set up on flank or at their disposal to actually walk into site and see what's going on. But we're already going to 6-pick away from that. So take the words right out of my mouth. We're slapping Malusi in. That's just more explosive things that people need to blow up that are extremely annoying. So don't need to worry too much more about those. We'll have to see if they are going to have enough explosives at their disposal. Plenty of frag grenades as well as Zofia in tow, so it feels like they should, especially with the utility change here. I mean, we are going to have Jaeger Wolmai on deck, so this truly is the full test for me on how this 20-second meta has changed up competitively.
All right, well, let's take a look and see. Oblivion are going to be able to work their way past it here. Most importantly, Nordic will look to defend against it. Check out the last little pieces that are getting set up for themselves here. And she's just going down to the late pushes up top red, along with a few other things. Not too much in the way of surprises when it comes to the defender setup here. They are going to see the Kaids go down here as well for S4 to try to deny Garage presence on the inside. He's been able to successfully get the one on the right. I don't think he wants to use the one on the left just yet, though. Might be saving that for the jacuzzi, or not jacuzzi, the regular balcony. Regardless of whether he uses them there or not, though, Cabal's going to move over here in just a second and pop it right open. So
yeah, that's the thing about Oblivion. They're quite quick when it comes to this work. Cabal's already got the top line done. S4 taking some damage as well from somewhere. I don't exactly know where, but that's going to get rid of a Banshee. That's a big pickup, even though Cabal does not know it. Remember, no points on for these competitive players, so no confirm on that Banshee kill, but they'll surely be thanking him later inside of VOD review. Cabal going to be getting rid of that now. Just needs to get rid of probably a couple pixels there at the bottom of the metal sheet, and that reinforcement will fall in, and Baka will once again have presence over that wall. So finally going to be able to get that done. CCTV handle. This is looking textbook here for Oblivion once again. We already have the pressure coming in from them over on the master side of things, trying to get control of construction. They really want to try and get that plant down inside of Cash once again.
Yeah, nothing really crazy like strat-wise going on within this round right now. Our very standard play when it comes to the overall upstairs clear here. Still got a couple players from Nordic roaming around looking to cause problems, though, and Discover, along with a few other team members of Oblivion here, are getting themselves construction access, too, so they can pinch both the breach as well as that construction angle, and possibly Garage, so they can get some control there, though I think that's very much out of the cards for them at this point, since we have pretty much zero pressure in that department. Away from that, though, we've got a lot in construction. 3 players stacked here, and the one aspect of this that they may not be aware of is going to be Storms, yet again, on roam, down at the bottom of that primary staircase. Members of Oblivion will have to be very, very aware of that, otherwise he could cause some massive problems on Execute here in just a second. Discover continues to show us why he's the frag king, at least in this match, though, as he gets at least a 3rd, if not a 4th in this map.
Oh, well, this is really on Storms to try and shut this down now. He's in such a strong position, but he might actually get picked up by Baka here. Definitely heard that skeleton key, but isn't going to recognize exactly where it came from. Those holes more than likely limiting the amount of audio that went through there to actually give him a sound cue. Some nice drone work here from Oblivion. Once again, we see that impact coming through, but Baka's going to make a misstep downstairs. They know where Storms is, but this case is already going down. Can't necessarily stop it. Ferda's going to get a kill. Nitro Cell out. Storms gets one, but immediately a refrag from Cabal. But he's going to get lit up for it instead. S4, very, very low chance of winning this, but almost able to take down 2. Ferda, quick to the trigger, though, as he pushes out of Cash, takes down the last remaining member of Nordic, and once again, links around together.
Good little click there from S4 as he takes off the head of at least one player before going down, but it's way too little, way too late, unfortunately, as the attacking side of the folks from Oblivion is going to be far too clean. And they take yet another round, setting up the very same scoreline they took back on Consulate at the beginning of the half in the second map as well. 5-1. Now the score is the teams switch sides, and all we need to see from Oblivion is 2 more, and they will tie the series up at 1-1 to take us to the third and final map.
Okay, well, this is where we start to understand how this map is going to work. Nordik on the offensive side, already having a 6-pick coming in for the Thermites. Let's see what they try and pick up here. They have quite a few hard destructors, so this is going to make sense. Like the Ash pickup here, got more breaching rounds now, able to get rid of a lot of these explosive utilities. I mean, we have Bubbles as well as Melusi in tow, so quite a bit of utility to try and get rid of.
And as well, we've got quite a few skins to get rid of in the store, folks, so be sure to go ahead and check those out. They should be available now. I think we got some new League sets as well put into the store recently. Don't forget to purchase those bundles to support the scene, as well as the game itself and all the teams that take part here in Rainbow Six. There you go. There it is.
Some beautiful, beautiful skins. I've been rocking the smoke skin for quite some time now. That NAL smoke skin.
That's what I was saying. I think there's a new NAL one too. I think there's like a Blackbeard or something that got put in too.
Oh, some new stuff.
I don't know why we got the Blackbeard. I feel like I don't know about that one. But
listen, let's not talk about it. All right. I mean, like, they just like giving us. I mean, I guess we got some like the best operators though. We got Smoke and Blackbeard. I'll take it. Blackbeard.
It's gonna get really. It's just not going to be welcomed very well, unfortunately, the other one.
It's the NAL Blackbeard. Get him. Like, it's just not going to go.
Take him out first.
That's what everyone wants, you know? Like, I feel like everyone still just hates that operator simply because of what his shield used to be, not what it is now. Because we really never see him played anymore. But even when he does get played, you're just like, why? Why would you do that? It's not okay, you know? I feel like playing Blackbeard for offense is a consensual thing. You have to ask permission first. Like,
Fortify BB in the all chat.
There you go. Is it okay if I play Blackbeard?
I'm up with a code for it.
Oh, there you go. So
either way, a bit of a roam clear going on here for Nordik still to start things off. I mean, like overall, like we could talk about this very, very slow beginning to the round for them. We could even see Cabal trying to go for a run out, and he's probably surprised to find that like, oh, no one's here. So he goes back inside, gonna rotate back downstairs. This is the turtle setup, so we do expect kind of a slow round to show up here. I don't know if Cabal was expecting it to be this slow though, as he's now gonna fall back a minute into the round without really meeting much.
Falls back, more than likely, like you were saying, just like, guys, we're not doing anything. Where are these people? Tries to make a run and it goes, oh, it's them being slow. Oh, okay, I got you. All right, so
it's like, all right, I'll just go wait in the basement.
Exactly, man. That's where all the Mountain Dew and Doritos are. Come on. So, you know, anyways, so Nordik working their way into the map now. They've got decent map control, and as we were both talking about and kind of, you know, taking jabs, it's not a bad thing that they're moving slowly. They're just checking all of the boxes because they know how aggressive Oblivion can be. So it's actually a really smart start here for Nordik to try and, you know, just take their time, make sure they're, you know, taking the proper steps and getting rid of these pieces of utility as well as roamers along the way. Sky is still having plenty of time to get these hatches open. The vertical play already coming in as well. This is a really strong start here for Nordik overall.
Still a bit to build up on here, though, for Nordik with only 50 seconds remaining in order to get the job done. They do deal with the Electric Claw sitting up on top of the hatch, and they've got Bosak still with most of his X-Kairos as well here, so should be able to get that open if they choose to do so, but currently Bosak is focused on more pressing matters, trying to work his way down main stairs. A little bit of a flub on the flashbang there, but not really a massive deal. Could just retoss it to the inside. They were, I believe, checking for ADSs anyways, that frag grenade could go in and clear out the players sitting behind the wall.
Ooh, nice.
Mainly so that doesn't happen, yeah.
That was a scary one there for Bosak. Yeah, exactly. But now we're already gonna have Skies torching open the wall. Lots of pressure inside here, but Boomski with a hell of a shot takes down one, takes down two. Oblivion all over the board here. This is looking like their round to lose as it's all down to S4, but that doesn't even matter. Verta's quick on that, and Oblivion walk away with round 7, pushing us on to map point.
A pretty simple round too. I mean, not a whole lot to dig into there, really. Oblivion really just once again confining themselves in the turtle setup, waiting for the push to come in from their opponents and responding in kind when the pressure finally worked its way out there. They knew the presence was coming through main stairs. They start to swing against that, pressure it out as well. Really big props to Boomski for how well he was able to play against that Maverick angle right there. Just absolutely destroyed the push from main stairs. And then, yeah, besides that, plenty of other players having a piece of the pie in that round too from the defensive side. So a nice quick shutdown. And now we're sitting at a 6-1 scoreline. Only one more is needed for Oblivion out of the next 5.
This is just such a strong game and series, I feel like, for Nordik because of, you know, the problems that Oblivion throw at them, right? Like, I feel like a lot of playmakers exist on this team where they'll throw these things at you that you're not exactly ready for, you didn't account for, right? Like, you're torching a wall open, you don't exactly expect a smoke to just stuff his face in it and burn you with an SMG-11 and swing for staircase, you know? Like, stuff like that where it's really putting Nordik on their back foot and, okay, can I actually do this? Or do I need to worry about something else that I'm not worried about? What can I do? You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where they're starting to question themselves on what is actually feasible. And Oblivion are just running away with it. They've continued this aggression, and it's continued to work time and time again. Discover, you know, really, really strong on offense, still continuing this into defense, and Cabal has been a nuisance this entire series. It's just nice to see Discover get up there inside of those numbers. Did not have the best first map, but you know, when he was needed most coming into Clubhouse, he definitely stepped up and was able to make a very large impact. Now, this doesn't mean that it's all over for Nordik. It's not all doom and gloom. It's just, you know, quite a big amount of doom and gloom. Nordik what's up?
It's just Nordik now need to win 5 rounds in a row without losing a single one.
On offense on Clubhouse. But yeah, you know.
I mean, let's be real about it here. Let's tell them exactly what the problem is.
I mean, I don't think anything's really possible up against Oblivion right now. I mean, Baka's 4-4-4. I mean, we got 2 people with 10 kills. There's a lot of positive things going on for Oblivion right now.
So we'll have to see if Nordik can center themselves. But like Stokes and I were just talking about, we are more than likely on the trajectory towards a 3rd and final map right now. That one single round out of the next 5 is all that Oblivion need to piece together for themselves. And they have them that golden ticket to the 3rd and final map where they can still upset here. Or not even upset, as I think most people are predicting Oblivion to win at this point. But they can knock Nordik down from the Canadian division and take that spot themselves.
All right, well, sub 2 minutes here. Not too much going on in the first minute, just dealing with reinforced walls and everything in between. Nordic's now going to be taking a page out of Oblivion's book from their offense and starting to put pressure on construction. Oblivion's more than likely going to be aware of this once these drones roll in, but Bosak's not going to have any support until Storms drops in here. Storms with some immediate pressure. Sledges open the wall, and this is going to start to put a pinch on this site. Boomski and the rest of OB really need a pick early on here to open this up, but it's actually going to be Nordik to strike first as they take down Cabal.
Good initial opener here from the Nordik roster. Maybe a sign of things to come, hopefully, here now as Oblivion a little bit less locked down within this site this time. A bit less secure in their own positions when compared to the previous basement hold. Nordik as well, a lot of forward momentum has been made. Another flash flub there from Bosak. Just not having the best of luck today with trying to squeeze those through. But either way, they are having luck in this round finding kills. Lackey getting himself now a 2nd for the team. That's going to take down both Cabal and Discover in the mix here right now. Those are your 2 most impactful players by far on Oblivion as well. Them going down, certainly not a good sign, but players like Boomski have shown up in this map as well. Although it's going to be a bit difficult for Boomski to do so as he's sitting at sub 25. Bakenfurter more likely going to have to do most of the work here as Nordik sits just inches away from being ready to execute. Oh, and they're definitely going to do it now that they got Boomski.
Yeah, green box completely open. Nordik still has quite a few frag grenades at their disposal as well. All down to Bakken now. Highest survival rate inside of Canadian CL, as well as almost overall 59% of the rounds he survives, and that's exactly why he can just burn people alive with this SMG-11. Here's one, can't get the shotgun out fast enough. S4 with a nice rotation works his way through the barbed wire and red stairs, and Nordik pinch out CCTV with everything in between, utility usage, gunfire, the whole 9 yards. I mean, they used everything to crack that site open. Oblivion now really need to think about this. They're on match point. There's a lot of options here for them to take, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go right over to master bedroom. We don't need to mess around with CCTV anymore. We seriously need 1 round. So let's focus on trying to get that 1 round, not about anything else. So great adjustment here for them. Nordik just need to step up to the plate when it matters most.
And even if this site doesn't fare too well for them, the folks on Nordik are not out of the hot seat just yet, as after this round, of course, Oblivion is going to have basement unlocked for play again, which they've already won within this half in quite convincing fashion. Nordik would need to come up with a counter strat for that immediately coming up on the next round if they are successful here.
Okay, gym bedroom, John. That's where we're going to, well, we have the possibility of ending this map on. We're going to have Oblivion with a pretty straightforward setup here. Mute, castle, Malusi, Maestro, and Jaeger coming into the fold. We've seen Wamai being brought every once in a while here, but it really hasn't seemed to change up too much of the map and how the controls worked for the offense. Nordic's still able to work CCTV just as easily. Oblivion the same way when they were attacking into Nordic setups with that Wamai. And, it really didn't seem like there was too big of a hindrance, and that's a really big game changer from what we saw previously with that 20-second meta. And honestly, it feels really, really good. It feels like you can still get some things done with some gunplay like, it used to be. That was the biggest thing with this 20-second meta, is if you didn't have utility, the round was just kind of over. There was nothing you could really do about it. The defense just played around the utility and won the round. So now it seems as though, there is some playmaking potential for both of these teams, as we've had some pretty big impacts so far by both squads.
All right, well, let's take a look and see here if Oblivion can shut it down on this round, or if Nordic is going to keep the fight rolling. Like we said, they needed to win a massive spree of rounds in a row. Gotten themselves started out well on it by picking up the first, but still need another 4, I do believe, in order to take this. That's just to get it to OT as well, mind you. That's not even to guarantee a win on this map, and in Nordic's case in this series, that's just going to take it to those 3 extra rounds. So S4, they quickly open up the hatchery. You can see some shots coming back from Boomski, but obviously not going to be much in the way of connections there. He'll just have to change up his own position now, as he has been revealed and is no longer going to be safe to sit in this spot. May not be safe to go into the hallway for much longer either, as that's also being mavericked out at the moment.
Nordic doing a very good job of working on this map and how they want to try and handle things. Starting things off on Jacuzzi. Haven't went for anything on the cash side, though, so for all intents and purposes right now, this is a one-sided affair. Nordic still working things up here on the roof. Oblivion just lying in wait, and that's the thing. They're not very patient people. Baka already getting into a gunfight early on here with that SMG-11, but he's going to take quite a bit of damage and whips that shotgun out as he apparently starts sending some shots someone's way. This, so far from Nordic, quite a positive thing, and also just to let you guys know that mute sound is going to happen for the rest of the round, but the players cannot hear it. It is strictly us, so they're still going to have audio as we'll just finish out this game. Should be fine for everything else. So still have plenty of drones here from Nordic as well to try and work this, and very peculiar spot here for Cabal, but nice trades come in off of the ump as well as a grenade. But no, quick aggression here from Skies to take down Cabal, getting rid of the Evil Eye as well. They need to try and get this case down before Oblivion can step up and try and battle back.
Ferda being so cautious with his swing, and there's good reason behind that caution as well. He knows he's got players just on the other side. Baka waiting for a rotate into the window as well, trying to catch one from there, but it's not going to happen. S4 continues to hunt down the members of Oblivion one by one. Ferda tries to push himself into a fight, but not going to come out as the winner of that one. Another one of his opponents here commits to the full wrap here now. Was thinking that someone would be on the inside because of the fact that they were watching out in the hallway, and he was right to assume that. Lackey gets the next pick here against Ferda, and now everything falls to Discover in a 1v4 scenario, and he's way down here at pool table right now, once again, hoping to catch rotates. But as far as clutching out the round is concerned, yeah, if he's not going to make any further movements from here, then his chances are long gone, sadly. But finally start to see some commitment to the inside. He hears the hatch drop too, but now is committed to the fight, just can't win it out. S4 gets one more. Why not at this point? S4, what a round. He shuts down the final player and keeps his team in the fight. We're going to be heading out of the in-game camera here for a second, folks, to fix that bug.
Yeah, I'm going to switch things up so that we can get rid of that mute jammer issue, but so far so good for Nordic on their offense, and this really just seems like an offensive affair for the very first time in a long time on Siege, John. I can't remember the last time that you and I had a extremely offensive-minded series. This is something that we haven't seen in probably a year at this point.
Oh, it's a very rare treat when you get a series that's very heavily weighted towards the attacking side. That makes it a little bit awkward to kind of analyze things too, because our expectations for so many of these rounds are just turned on their heads now as a result of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot of difficulties with that strictly because of just how Siege works. Like, at the bare bones, right? Like, the defense is always at sort of an advantage off rip simply because they're the ones that decide how the map works, right? They're the ones making the holes and all that kind of stuff, and you have to figure it out as the offense, right? You're handed a unsolved Rubik's Cube, and you're like, okay, I need you to get all the colors on one side, right? So, for both of these squads, it seems as though they're much better at solving the Rubik's Cube than they are at setting it up.
Yeah, it seemed to certainly be the case based on the way that things have been playing out so far. still a little bit of a ways to go here, because keep in mind, Oblivion is still in a great position, even after losing those 2 upstairs holds. Bring back a point I talked about at the beginning of the half when we got into round number 2 there, that even if they lose those 2 rounds, they still have the massive advantage coming in for the beginning of the half and the 1 round they won there, and the fact that they're about to re-unlock that site to play it again. Going into the basement here, as long as they hold strong there and are able to bring out the same result, they're still in an okay spot, and more than likely they're going to take control of this map with that 7th round coming right around the corner. However, we end up a little bit differently and things end up flipping around the other way, and we see our attackers finally take that basement round. Then this is a real ball game at that point. Then it really could be anyone's, and we could potentially see the 2-0 for Nordik still.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential here for that. I mean, Nordik only got 1 offensive round, or defensive round, excuse me, and Oblivion so far has followed that trend. We've got 2 rounds linked together so far for Nordik, but that basement site has opened back up, and the big issue now is that Oblivion seemed quite strong inside of that setup downstairs, and even if Nordik is able to get around, they can just go right back into basement, make some minor adjustments, and try and win out off of that. They're going to have access to every single site from here on out. So for Nordik, it goes back to what we talked about on Consulate. They have to be ready for anything, and they cannot lose a singular round, which makes it all the more difficult.
Yeah, it's going to make it that much more difficult, of course. And once again, guys, in case you're wondering what the cause of delay is, well, we've got to reinvite all the players and stuff. So taking us just a moment here, as we also have to set up some of the rounds. So just give us a second, and we'll be right back into it as soon as we've got everybody reinvited and the match has been set up. Good to resume things here and see indeed if Oblivion is going to be able to shut down this second map and take us to our 3rd, or if indeed Nordik is still going to remain in this fight, keeping their dreams alive of chasing another comeback. As keep in mind, this would be a crazy storyline for Nordik at this point too, if they came back, when we consider the fact that they were already down 1-5 on the previous map and came back to win that one 8-7, and now they're trying to do it again, and they are kind of on the warpath for it. This next round's like the make or break point for me. This is where, in my mind, still we could easily see an Oblivion shutdown on this upcoming round here. But if we get past that point, the game is on. So this is actually a pretty interesting storyline here for Nordik to play off of.
Yeah, I feel like Oblivion's like DJ Khaled, just suffering from success. You know what I mean? Like they every single time that they have a string of successful rounds, it just gets flipped on its head, and they're not able to really produce anything from there on out. And if they do end up losing both of these maps in this fashion, this is probably going to be one of the worst comebacks I've seen in quite some time. Or just because of like how things were for Oblivion, like massive head of steam, and they just cut down by Nordik at every step of the way. I mean, it's just very, very weird because Oblivion continues to have impact in quite a few of these rounds, even the rounds that they lose, right? We'll see some nice picks come through or something along those lines, but it just seems as though they lose the plot from what's happening with the rest of the squad, or they just lose too much early on and are not able to produce throughout the rest of that round. So we got everybody back in the lobby, folks. Thank God that Ubisoft updated that title screen, so we get right back into game very, very quickly. So Oblivion and Nordik both in. We already got Nordik readied up, and we're readied up on both sides. So we're going to be jumping back into Clubhouse here in just a second, folks.
Yeah, I think the big issue that at least in these past 2 rounds has started to pop up for Oblivion, and to be fair, this is only an issue I've noticed on this map. It hasn't really been a problem back on map number 1, but it's a really top-heavy performance from Oblivion right now. You've got 2 real big kill leaders on the team, and away from that, the scores start to go down pretty heavily at that point. Obviously, you guys are going to see that when we go back in game because the scores will be reset. But if I'm remembering correctly, it was Cabal and Discover that were those 2 top-heavy players, and in the previous 2 rounds, we've usually seen them go down first, or otherwise go down very early in the round and not be able to contribute, thus leaving a little bit of a lack with regards to the fragging capability. So we'll have to see if this is just an issue that'll pop up this map or something that may come up in the 3rd map too, assuming that we are able to see the closeout from Oblivion.
Man, you're so observant. You should be a commentator. Anybody ever pay you for that?
Maybe I could be an observer.
Oh, maybe. The observer? Cyan, he's coming for your job, man.
So I'm not gonna do that to him.
Yeah, please don't do that to Cyan. We love Cyan. He's great. He's great. Been working with him all season. Been an amazing spectator for us here inside of the NAL, and we appreciate all of his efforts. This guy puts in so much time for us, guys. Even, when the commentators are done and the other, set comes in, he still has to work. We get to go and screw off somewhere else. You know what I mean? I get to go downstairs in my kitchen and grab water or whatever. This guy's to sit in his chair all day and continue to spectate Rainbow Six Esports. So we love you for that, Cyan. We appreciate you so much, man. Let's get back into this now, folks. We're going to be headed right back down into the basement basement, just like John predicted. This is open now. Oblivion won that round. They're feeling really, really good about it. And honestly, I'm feeling strong about this setup as well. We got Discover back on the Electro Claw wielding Kaid. There's a lot of things here that are positives for them, especially Baka back on that Maestro.
Yeah, and I think Oblivion was kind of relying on this round a little bit. So this is the big one right here. Like I said, this is very much the make or break occasion that Oblivion need to try and shut this down from. The good news is, of course, if they lose it, they can try to repeat it. But if Nordic's got themselves a winning attacking strat to win basement rounds, then Oblivion are definitely in a bit of trouble here. Although it's relatively safe trouble, at least for a couple more rounds. Ball gonna look to start things out well with an aggressive position. Oh, the reaction as well. Catches the play from Storms with split-second timing to save his own life. That's an early lead for Oblivion. And we're very quickly going to see Cabal fall back upon that kill and play into the turtle now.
Good drone work here for Nordic as they've got full top control. Now it's onto Oblivion to try and answer back. But obviously they gave it up all for Storms, and that's going to be some major issues, especially around that kitchen area. If that was the plan for them, they're not going to be able to get nearly as much soft destruction as they could have previously, especially with the setup downstairs. Again, lots of utility requiring explosives, so that's really where S4 and Skies want to dedicate that not only breaching rounds, but frag grenades in tow with Lackey. So they need to really worry about how they handle this, but this is the beauty of how Ash's kit has changed. She now has those breaching charges as well, so looks like Kitchen is actually going to be handled to the best of their ability without that sledge.
Working with what you got, right? That sort of situation there. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of soft breach away from the sledge there. And the 3 breaching charges that the Ash brought to the table. And more importantly, they want to save the breaching rounds on the Ash more than likely for utility that could be deeper into the site. Things like Malusis and whatnot. They don't want to expose themselves to have to kill. So that's why you're not seeing those additional 3 charges on S4 used to clear out more real estate in the kitchen itself. Boomski waiting for his opportunity to chuck out a Nitro. Oh, and that is spot on as well. Sends Bosak flying. Sky's now alone here. He's going to try to respond with a frag, but I think he's way too late for this. Cabal should be in safe harbor, and even better, he's in kill harbor as he's going to move out into Moto, taking down Skies, bringing the Nordic roster down to 2 here.
Yeah, Cabal's the shark, and there's blood in the water, but it's Discover on the other end. Cabal follows through. Flawless round to seal the deal downstairs in basement on Clubhouses. We're headed to Oregon in extremely quick fashion.
And that is going to be very scary news for Nordic, given the record that Oblivion have had since the beginning of Stage 2, going on to Oregon. They've certainly got their work cut out for them. Oblivion's in a good spot, but they haven't secured the spot in Canadian Pro League just as of yet. They still need to win that 1 extra map in order to get them there, but they are indeed very close. As for Nordic, it's the same thing. They're now 1 more map away from being eliminated from it. They've got to be careful about how they tread from this point forward. Stick with us, folks. The 3rd and final map is coming up in just a bit, right after this break.
Welcome back, and there you have it. We're going to be going to map number 3, the tiebreaker map, to decide who is going to be in the Canadian League up top. It's going to be Oblivion challenging Nordic all the way from Challenger League. And fellas, we're now going to go to Oregon. How do you feel about this?
Well, Clubhouse kind of proved that Oblivion really is a fast start team. They've gotten out to massive 5-1 advantages on both maps thus far, and in this case, they were actually able to close it out and not allow Nordic to complete a comeback. They kind of started it, though. I think Nordic gave you a little bit of a heart attack as soon as it turned. They won 2 rounds on their own defending half, and I thought, oh, wait, there actually might be, sorry, their attacking half. Problem is, Oblivion actually managed to shut this one down this time before Nordic got too much headway, and we're heading to Oregon, which is more decidedly an Oblivion favorite, so this one might be over quick.
Yeah, this map was definitely a little bit more one-sided. I think that was clear. We got to see the real Cabal, which was exciting. He definitely stepped up, especially at the start of this map. So I was happy that we got to see what he's really made of.
Yeah, we finally got to see the real Cabal after you hyped him up so much at the beginning of the series, Jesse. But Jacob, I'm gonna come to you for a second. Now, you say that Oblivion, they've adapted extremely well to this meta, and you believe that's the reason why they started off with these hot starts at the beginning of both of these maps. How come?
Well, I think so. It comes down to, especially Cabal actually managing to wake up in this series. Okay. It only really happened on Clubhouse because Consulate, it almost seemed like he really just wasn't in it. But in this case, Wamai is being played considerably less than he was on Clubhouse, and Ashe can be utilized in a lot of different ways, and that's an operator he specifically has been known to play, whereas you might have to use, her breaching rounds or her flashbangs when she had them to worry about clearing that utility out. It's not there anymore, which is a really, really pivotal part of why you played Ashe before. And now, if he's ever on that role again, he doesn't have to necessarily concern himself with burning utility. He can either go for those frags or utilize his utility for what it's meant to be used for in soft destruction with those breaching rounds. It is a much different meta, and so far they are doing, like you said, a much better job of adapting to it than I think Nordik might have expected.
Listen, this is what you want to talk about. Jesse, you want to chime in on that?
Definitely, because I think that it's not really a surprise coming into this that Oblivion would be a little bit more comfortable, because they've been playing in CL, where really the meta is a little bit behind. I think that sometimes you don't see as many teams rocking with that utility dump meta. I mean, Nordik have been playing really heavily utility dump teams. They have to play some high-level squads, and so Nordik have had to shift gears quite a bit when the meta changes. Oblivion are kind of in their comfort zone because they're used to playing against teams that don't really abuse shields. They don't really abuse the utility dump meta, because that's not really the style of play we see in CL. So I think it's nice to see Oblivion coming out and really finding their strong suit in this meta.
Wait. You talk about Oblivion coming in here. They're finding a strong suit. They're adapting well to the meta, but also they adapted well to a map that, as far as we know, they don't play at all, right, Jesse?
Yeah, don't play at all. I mean, I think it's very clear that they've been practicing this a lot. They've clearly played it a bunch in scrims. It's never been on broadcast for them, but clearly a lot of work being put in behind the scenes. I thought that their attacks were fantastic, whether it was Cabal and CC dealing with utilities so perfectly with those grenades, whether it was Baka on those gym attacks using Buck to perfectly open that jacuzzi wall at the right times, or whether it was Discover attacking on that bottom floor when he's throwing nades through the floorboards and doing so much work ripping those up on Sledge. I thought that these attacks were just so well executed, so well practiced, and there wasn't a ton that Nordik were doing in that first half when it was a 5-1 split to really throw wrenches into those plans. It was clear that Oblivion came into these attacks with a really clear game plan of what they wanted to do, and every single round, Nordik allowed them to do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So real quick, because the players are ready, the cast is ready, this is it. The loser goes down to Challenger League, and I'm going to make sure for prediction-wise, both of you are standing strong that Oblivion is going to take it, right?
Oh, 100%. We're going to Oregon. This is a map that Oblivion are undefeated on through Stage 2 of Challenger League. And Nordik have played it as well, but not nearly as frequently, and haven't won in nearly as dominant a fashion. This should definitely still be Oblivion. I'm holding strong. They're going to the Canadian Division next year, man.
Jesse, you locking it in, Oblivion.
Yeah, I've got it. Nordik are going to have some Frenchie magic if they want to win this one. I think that Oblivion likely got this in the bag, but we'll have to watch to find out.
We'll find out soon. Because both of you guys disrespected them, I'm going to go for Nordik, okay, guys? I believe in you.
Fine.
But here it is right now. All the chips are on the line for our relegation game. Nordik, they're going to try to defend their spot against Oblivion. If Oblivion wins, they're going to take their spot in Tier 1 in the Canadian League. Blue and Stokes, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Billy. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for that third and final map. These two teams have been battling for a good 2.5 hours now, and it is time to find out which one of them is going to either move back into the Canadian Division for next year, or which one will ascend to it for the first time. Will it be Oblivion who's looking to steal the spot away from Nordik, or will Nordik successfully defend their position? Let's find out in just a few moments here. We're getting ready to go into Oregon. A great record on it for Oblivion. How will Nordik respond? Stokes, what's your take on this before we get ready to jump right in?
Well, that's the big question, right? Can Nordik respond to Oblivion and what they've done on this map? Undefeated inside of Stage 2, as was said on the analyst desk. I feel as though Nordik does have has a chance inside of this map here, especially because of how often we saw Oblivion played inside of Stage 2. Nordik does have some good tape on this map, but obviously with how the meta's been changing, there could be a couple implications that they're not exactly ready for. So I feel like Oregon honestly is blown wide open. We'll have to see if the bans change any of our minds. Starting things off here with Thatcher.
Yeah, meta has remained relatively static within this match so far. Not much in the way of change-ups that would have come from the patch notes that we've been seeing shine through in the matches. That's going to be an interesting one from Nordik. Ashe getting banned out here on Oregon. Not something that I haven't seen before, but it's still a bit of a rare treat when it does pop up.
Yeah, Ashe, especially with her new updated kit, she's really a demolitions expert. She's there to get rid of a lot of these explosive utilities, as well as, you know, possibly put some pressure on some people that aren't exactly expecting it from vertical player, you know, through other means. So Mira going to be removed, as well as Valkyrie. Valkyrie not seeing the light of day throughout this entire series, and I actually believe, yeah, we mirrored that across all 3 different maps. Mira and Valkyrie removed on all 3 of the maps in between these two, as well as Thatcher. So that's actually pretty interesting, really favoring these ops on these ban waves.
Pretty consistent picks there from both of our teams. Now it's time to see what the actual lineups look like inside of the sites themselves. Looks like it's going to be a kids defense first here from Oblivion, who once again will get the defensive start going into this map. We'll see how exactly they'll fare for it here. A lot of delay potential coming in with both the Goyo and Melusi picks to do that. However, the Goyo is going to be a bit of a trick there, as it'll be 6 picked out to a castle instead.
That's it's kind of a lateral move there, you know, because Goyo's obviously explosives, Castle is as well, but honestly, Castle, depending on how they're going to utilize him, this might be a little bit more difficult for them simply because Lackey exists. You know, it's going to be easy for them to get rid of a lot of these Castle barricades as long as he's alive. Seems as though they're going to want to play those to the outside of the map off rip. We'll see where else they want to try and set things up, but they're definitely going for that roam setup. This looks actually quite similar to something that we've seen the Sonics play before around this area, with one member inside of security as well as one inside of kitchen.
So likely to see that remain the case here, especially if Nordik are going to go for the small tower, clear up the stairs from there and then into attic or whatever else they want to try to take control over. This could be great to get in the way of that. And they may be right on that counter too, because Storms at least does drone from that direction. So it is possible we could be seeing him and a couple other players work their way into the building via the small tower clear that I was just talking about. Let's find out, though, as everybody's spawned out here now for Nordik.
Everyone out on the field and ready for battle. Oblivion fully set up now on the defense, and that's exactly what we're going to be running, John. We're going to be running this downstairs hold that is actually going to sit pretty firm. Cabal placed inside of Big Tower right now and has a chance to fall back and assist his other OB members whenever he gets the chance. But being this aggressive early on could honestly bag him a kill. He is going to get found from Bosak, contests the window, but Bosak backs off. No pre-fire coming through just yet. The longer Cabal sits here, the more likely he is to die, though, as more information comes through. Could possibly have a cutoff set up now, but actually walks away scot-free. But that's not the same case for Boomski, who dies inside of Classroom very early here inside of round 1.
Still a little bit of drone work being done here by Storms and a couple of the other members of Nordik. We'll find out Cabal more than likely in a second as he holds on the connector going into meeting room, but after being droned out is no longer going to feel so confident in that position. Goes back down through the hatch downstairs and will commit himself to a different fight later on, possibly wrapping up through laundry if Nordik don't expect that.
Yeah, Cabal's doing a very good job of trying to delay time because they have to respect what he's doing. I don't know that if he knows the Storms is here, it seems as though he's ready for it. Jiggle peeks, takes some damage, but doesn't have to worry too much about anything else. Going to try and catch him on timing here as he works to the top of the staircase. Still has quite a few Nordik members above him as well, but it seems as though Storms isn't even prepared. Some callouts here, good audio cues for him, but he was already ready. Storms with practically a pre-fire, but a trade, very nice one in fact, from Ferda as he pushes up Z.
We're going to quick on the nose to be able to pick up that trade there. They knew Cabal was in the greatest spot. We're going to see an electric claw snuck in here. Might actually deal with the wall. Probably not going to make much in the way of a difference in stopping these breaches from happening, though, as it looks like it either got shot or dealt with in some way or just didn't end up bleeding through there, as both the charges end up going out on the ace anyway.
Well, good positioning here for both of these squads. Still a chance for Oblivion to win this out, especially with Ferda's position down low. That Nitro cell could be the difference between a round loss and a round win here. Nordik trying to handle map control. Still have a good flank watch set up here, but still plenty of members to worry about on site as well. They're trying to get Baka shut down inside of dorms as they're pressuring into attic. They really want this plant for default. Nitro cell out doesn't really do anything to these Nordik members. Discover now getting into a gunfight on double. Actually ends up lighting up Skies. Frag grenade in. Ferda with one. This is actually extremely winnable, but a nice trade here from S4 as there's continuing to be pressure put down by Nordik. Still have a chance at this case plant here as Lackey starts things off. Baka with a nice move through the smoke. Plant goes down, needs to make his move now, makes his presence known. Fries S4 with the hip fire, and all of a sudden this is winnable for Oblivion.
Ferda and Baka both trying to work their ways back out here. They've got eyes on the diffuser, on the case, but how exactly do they work against the post plant here? Such a rough angle for them to be able to play off of, even if they get themselves back into attic with control there. Not actively peeking into it, though. Nordik not necessarily primed to take the fight. Ferda trying to line one up, trying to avoid these flashbangs at the same time here. He knows the swing for the Nomad's coming at any second, but he's just going to push for it anyway. Nordik, in fact, find both of the kills as a result of that duel. Ferda and Baka both going down to either of the remaining players on the attack, and with that, we're going to see Nordik take control of the opening round.
Great stuff here from Nordik in round one. Just very patient gameplay, played their objectives, and got the shutdowns on the roamers that were almost a necessity. If they allow Cabal to really win any of those engagements, then they're in for some serious hurt. Instead, he gets a couple of drones, shows face a couple times, but ends up getting picked off downstairs. And then once that happened, Nordik had the map control required in order to make some things happen. They still had to worry about a possibility of Ferda having a large impact downstairs with that nitro cell, but they already had so much sight pressure that Ferda had to bail back in to try and help out Baka, the last remaining member of OB there, and continuing to, show why he has that extremely high survivability rate. The guy is just so smart in his playstyle and decision making inside of these rounds, but not smart enough to get through that one. Nordik up one round right now after handling a beautiful roam game by OB.
So for Oblivion, it's time to move downstairs and see if things will fare better for them there. With regards to the setup, not expecting anything too crazy to roll out from the Oblivion roster this time. Setup is going to look pretty straightforward for this basement hold. Of the Banshees, for example, from Cabal delaying the stairs and hatch pushes, as well as more than likely the tunnel push from construction. Bird is going to try to set himself up, although this setup is going to get a little bit more difficult, however, specifically with the Wamai, just because it has to be supported by another player. No longer are you going to have the reinforced shield on the Wamai, so that's why Baka, I believe, is here to help out with that a little bit. There's going to go the shield down. Now, important thing that's lacking right now from what we normally see in this setup, there's not a Goya. They don't have that explosive, Molotov delay that would normally come in here on this strap.
Yeah, also they've brought proximity sensors, which is something we don't see too often. We've seen a couple of teams adopt them into very specific setups, but nothing that is a rudimentary thing. So but we will have those setups, so have some sort of intel here that might catch Nordik off guard. But Nordik once again being quite patient here, leaning on those drones, trying to get this initial information, and they're going to have to worry about Cabal once again. He's on roam, and not only that, but he's equipped with impacts, so he has an opportunity here to actually work his way into Big Tower. If you can base this off of timing, this will be something right out of a comic book. This is about to be a beautiful play if he can actually get it off.
2 minutes left here. Plenty of time left in the round, but as you said, the big focus right now is going to be the man on top of things in the attic. Have to wait and see if Cabal is going to be able to find impact for this position. There's the play. Drops in a free pick against Skies, and a surprising lack of any additional support in that room. Believe Cabal still in a safe position for the time being, assuming that no one else tries to swing him. But now, Nordik need to be very well aware of this. They go upstairs to check, thinking that he didn't actually drop down. And they're trying to look for this player now. I don't even think they know that Cabal's still here in meeting, or they might have thought that he left and went back down laundry or something like that.
And the more difficult thing is they have a drone set up, but it couldn't see his current position. They can see him now, but even... Oh, actually, no, they are going to get some intel, so they definitely know that he's inside, but Discover's going to get a pick, so it really doesn't matter. 3 versus 5 now as Nordik has to try and battle back. It's going to be Lackey to strike first as he takes one down inside of Freezer Hallway. Still have a lot of opportunities here for both of these squads, though. Granted, Nordik very low on utility. Still have some smokes and some stuns to utilize, but besides that, they're bare bones for the time being. Stuns and need to pressure close. They do. Bozak going to win out one. Lackey to follow through. Now a 3v2 in favor of Nordik. Didn't think I'd be saying those words about 15 seconds ago. Baka and Cabal, the only two that remain, and these are the two that you want working this clutch. They know where he is now. Swung out wide, and does he actually down him? He does. Shotgun out. He's all over the board. Pumps the last one. So much damage to S4. He He has a lot of opportunities here to try and pick up these members. I don't believe he's going to go for it, though. This AK-12 can absolutely burn someone alive when it comes to firepower, but I don't believe S4 can possibly try and get aggressive with that amount of HP. He is going to get Lackey up, and this is a huge problem for Cabal. He does have full HP, so could always try and find a singular gunfight to try and take early on here. He wants to try and force the plant, though. S4 dedicated to that case for 7 seconds. He wins the initial one. Can't find the second one, though. S4 in a safe spot. Is he ready for the pre-fire? Knows where he is. S4 prone on the ground. Takes down Cabal. And that's 2 rounds for Nordik.
Things looking promising here for Nordik as we get off to a hot start for them. 2 round wins in a row. A convincing one on the first and a very nice closeout on the second inside of what was starting out as a 1v1 clutch. But due to the 2 players that had been down, able to bring it back up to a 2v1 and save their own butts within that round in order to put that second point on the board. 4 more to go, and they'll get themselves up on a match point here, and 1 more on top of that, and they'll have the spot in Canadian Pro League for the next year. Oblivion's dreams getting further and further away, but thankfully, it's only at the start of this map. So there's still plenty of opportunities for Oblivion to get back into it.
Ubi balanced team, we might have went too far. These guys just continue to win offensive rounds no matter what. I don't know what's happening. I think we just need to revert Jaeger. 90% of the time being played, that's perfectly fine. I think that's balanced. It's whatever. It'll be fine. But in all seriousness, though, Nordik is playing a really, really strong offensive half once again here on Oregon. And I'll say it, if it does translate over to defense, this is more than likely going to be their map. Oblivion have had a really good chance of answering a lot of these and some very creative plays, especially from Cabal, but it's too little too late a lot of the times. Like, they got the initial pressure inside of that last round, but then Oblivion just feed the beast. Nordik mostly sits still for quite a few of those, all except for Lackey, who really spearheads his way into Pillar, able to get these early kills, and then they simply force Oblivion to try and make a decision. Oblivion opt, obviously, for the aggressive play, and they get, eaten alive inside of that freezer hallway. So there's some major problems that happen inside of there. Oblivion just pushing their advantage too much into Nordic's favor when they knew that Nordik needed to do something. So let's see if they adjust once again. A little bit too high there. Actually get some damage off Sky's. Going to take half of his HP. And once again, Nordik just not really caring about what Oblivion's doing early on inside of this round. Not really respecting into that window play that Cabal's been doing for most of the series.
Cabal also just really not a fan of Maverick, it seems, here, as he's tried to go for the Maverick specifically twice. Cabal, though, will get himself into a bit more of an extended duel. Player leaps into T2, surprising even him. That's more than likely going to force him down to the depths of the basement now, where he'll have a better hope of trying to stay alive and hopefully a better hope of actually making it back to the site, be able to continue contributing to the team. No success on the aggressive swings this time, but thankfully with the damage done to both Skies and Lackey, he can still walk away from that, feeling successful about his overall efforts, and this is on top of the fact that they've wasted a good minute or so from the round count too.
Yeah, this is just really, really harsh for Nordik, and it's not that they have exactly been doing things incorrectly. They're just not really getting any intel on the parts of the map that they want to entry into, and that's mostly where Cabal's been planting himself. If they were able to get some early intel, then they more than likely could have cut him off on the staircase. That's the adjustment I would have liked to have seen, but that's not exactly what we got. We might get a little bit of a different one there now, though, as Cabal actually works his way back into meeting. Thought I saw somebody in there for just a second, but no, Cabal is perfectly safe and sound as he still has access to the downstairs area as well. Impact grenade out. Don't believe that they have any attic control, so Cabal is actually extremely safe here unless he gets pressured from a different angle.
This guy's still looking for that winning shot to take out Cabal, but it's going to be the reverse. Cabal wins it on Skies instead. Gives them that opening advantage to play off of here. And with only a minute remaining, Nordik do not have a whole lot of time to make up the difference here. Only about another 20 to 30 seconds at most of prep time, and then they have to start executing. Good find from S4 on the damage meters there. Brings Discover down a bit lower, and ultimately Storms is also able to finish off Cabal here as well. Furta, though, will quickly trade that back, and Oblivion will still maintain man control. However, not going to be the case for long. S4, once again, the hero of the team here, finding the trades when they're needed, and that's a very much needed one to bring us down into a 3v3.
Yeah, trickling things here in the last 30 seconds. These trickle kills coming on through. Bozak with a very aggressive position inside of Attic, but Baka seems to be aware, still has Toxic Babes to use, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Not very much time left on the board. Nordik needs this case plant, but they're really not set up too well for anything except for a games plant here. Fertile holding the cross, S4 actually working his way into open space. Very low on HP. Lackey gets a kill, pre-firing through now, but Bozak gets lit up as well. Case now down, plenty of damage off. Ferta gets one for his troubles as well with that Nitro cell. This is a great plant attempt here from Nordik, all except for the low HP, but they had to do something. They now know that the attic rotates set up. Oh, no. It's down to the 1 versus 1. Baka has an opportunity to win this and clutch this up. Bad news is, though, no more smoke grenades. That would be a winning utility piece right now, so it's going to have to be on the gunplay. With 20 seconds remaining, he's got plenty of time to try and work this. A single bullet kills. S4 has to be super patient. That's exactly what he's going to do. He forces him into the hallway, working him back and forth. I don't think he's going to have time, though. Oh, no, he thirsts for the kill. Baka, not
I don't
like
think it would have made it anyway,
this. It wouldn't have made it anyway, as just said, but well, that's going to be yet another round there for Nordik. I don't even know what to say. That was just so well done by them. They had to force a plant down. Otherwise, that round was going right into the back pocket of Oblivion. So that's exactly what they do. They throw the smoke right in the middle of the site, cut off all of the angles that they possibly can with that, and then simply throw it down where they find open space. Didn't go for a default spot or anything of the sort. Some great heads-up play from Nordik.
So not the first time we've seen S4 kind of be the hero in the midst of a round, too. We saw that a couple times in the previous map where he was coming in, finding all of the important trades, and more importantly, just kind of keeping his team in the fight for that specific round. So great work by him on the individual perspective for the effort put in right there, as well as the clutch, too, with just a sliver of HP remaining in order to get the job done. Beautifully worked. It's a well-deserved 3-0 lead now being built up here.
Well, let's see if they can continue to snowball it. I mean, some of these rounds have seemed, almost aimless from Nordik at times with their early round presence, but they continue to win these, John, and that's something that we can't discount. It seems as though they've finally hit their stride inside of this series. They're starting to understand Oblivion a little bit more inside of that mid to late game, and it's continuing to work. As long as they're able to get that pressure onto site and get the picks needed to get a plant down like that, they're going to continue to win these rounds. And the problem is that Oblivion, even though they are aggressive early on, they get the damage off that they need to try and make these gunfights easy for themselves or possibly get a pick. They're not able to translate it into a round win, and that's been a really, really big problem going into that mid game where Nordik seems to have more control of the map. Oblivion's trying to rotate back off of their aggressive plays, and they continue to get caught off guard. I'd like to see them adjust into maybe even just sitting off site, trying to make something happen inside of the late game. Don't get nearly as aggressive inside of that mid game timing for Nordik, because inside of those earlier series, we saw a lot of the times where, Baka as well as Cabal were able to make these rotates, especially on Consulate, that completely messed up what Nordik's game plan was.
So for Nordik here, great start in the first 3 rounds, and Oblivion kind of surprised more than likely about how strong the opening rounds have been from Nordik here. Their roam game not finding the impact they want it to, and even so, even when it does, usually finding it traded out just a couple of seconds later here. At best, their roam game is only delaying things right now here. Need to step it up a little bit more. And Nordik, in the meantime, for this round specifically, have a massive grouping of players pushing Big Tower. Everyone's soaked up. It looks like 4 to 5 of them all committed to this. In fact, no, all 5 of them together, trying to work this angle together in order to get them closer and closer to the site. Yeah, pretty direct path here, although Cabal looking to get in the way of that, playing around this Maverick breach. Saw a player for a couple of seconds, but so far unable to capitalize on it. He's going to get the opportunity right there, though. Once again, the SMG-11 shots just lining right up. He takes down Skies, goes for a 2-floor transition, is going to try to make the same play again from down here. It gets spotted by both of those drones, though, so despite not having Overwatch on him until just a second ago, he falls back from the play, and it looks like he's going to go towards Freezer instead.
I continue to be impressed with this man's decision-making. Instead of going for the aggressive play, he gets the drones, and which also means Oblivion's going to get some extra kills, because why the hell not? We're going to throw some things into angles and hope that it sticks, and it most definitely will. 5 versus 3 now in favor of Oblivion, and this is looking more and more like they're around every second that ticks by, but obviously Nordik can always battle back. The main issue now, though, is not very many drones and quite a few things that are going to get rid of those. So limited intel, lots of face checking to go on, and they have to win some extremely important gunfights.
Another pickup from Storms starts to bring Nordik back into this, if only slightly, with the pick on Ferda. Knocks out the Jaeger. Boomski nearly lining himself up another kill, but the shots are all misses, sadly. Down to the wire, though, at 40 seconds remaining here. Nordik are going to force the issue to the inside of Kitchen. They down Cabal in the process as a nice pick is found from Bosak. Rest of the team commits to the inside. They're going to have counter rotate set up there via the air jabs. They'll have their opportunity to move in, but unfortunately those air jabs are just way too obvious, so Baka's going to be able to spot that. Boomski with a pickup. Storms beats Baka to the punch, though, up on top of the hatch. Takes him down. The plant shouldn't be too much further away, mainly because there's only 20 seconds left in Storms. Now against the hot plate here. Got two different players trying to push him. Shoots the Nitro out of the air and shoots Discover in the shoulder. Discover will take down his teammate, but Storms is still in this fight in a 1v2. He knows he has the hatch upstairs to play off of, so he's going to do just that. Moves over on top of it here. He's got the pistol out, looking to quickly knock players out, but it won't happen. Discover gets the better of Storms, taking him down and putting, finally, a round on the board for Oblivion.
Oh, this is starting to be a game here between Oblivion and Nordik. I'm liking what I'm seeing from both of these teams right now. Some heads-up plays from Nordik, especially with that case plant. Just flood right into kitchen, get that down, and play it off of the hatch instead. But Oblivion thought ahead there, especially Boomski, abandoning the plant. He knew he had plenty of time and that he could try and help Discover engage on that hatch player, and it ended up working out for them. That's going to be their very first round here inside of this defense. But overall, a pretty solid round by both of these squads, most notably by Oblivion, though. I mean, they really handled that early game extremely well, and they actually snowballed that into that mid and late game where they were able to continue to get those picks off. It was really where, you know, Nordik forced their way up Kitchen Hall that they ran into some issues. They were really focused on the meeting area, whereas Nordik was simply just trying to get a case down, and that's exactly what they did. I think that they're going to continue to try and, you know, highlight this objective play because it seems to really work for their playstyle up against Oblivion. If they can just find, you know, one central path to work their way onto site, they can start to work these picks and get that objective play going on.
All right, so finally on the board here for Oblivion, and that'll send them back to the basement now that they've had success upstairs. We're like, they're just going to keep seesawing between those sites until they won one of them, and finally they get the job done on round number 4. So 2 rounds left to make the impact said. We'll see if they can do just that here. Now they've got both sites still available for the pickings here, both the basement and the upstairs. Well, their options are really limitless for these final 2 rounds and how they want to try and play this. As far as Nordik is concerned, though, they're now looking to try and reestablish control, as that was the off-site they lost, and now that we're back on more expected territory, they're hoping that they can take the lead as well. Set up a 4-1. They claim this one. For Oblivion, though, once again, nothing too crazy happening with regards to the setup, reinforcement pool, as well as the operator lineup. Not looking too crazy here. In fact, it's the standard that a lot of teams are going to go for with regards to how you play into this basement, with maybe 1 or 2 operators being the difference. A lot of big tower pressure, yet again, working its way against Cabal, and Cabal very much looking to stop that. See now even sends the impact out there to try to counter out any players that would try to swing up towards T3. Pressure's a bit too hot, though, so Cabal calls this off, backs down at T1, and in a moment here, will more than likely fall back to go inside. No,
oh my God.
Runs out, gets himself a free pick. Sky somehow killed Bosak in the process of that as well. So a 2-for-1 exchange, and I think in the chaos, they lose another teammate, too.
Hang your head low on that one. That's just unbelievably rough. There's no other way to put that. You're down air jabs. You're down a lot of soft destruction and grenades. This is basically already Oblivion's round, and we just now got a minute into it. So this is kind of more of a highlight reel-esque way of, you know, the last round. This is the better way to do it, or the more flashy way to do it.
They knew he was there,
yeah,
as far as I could tell anyway.
Can I be honest? I'm extremely frustrated with Nordik right now and how they will just not cut him off on Big Tower. Like, he's done it almost every single round. That's something that, as a team of this caliber, they need to recognize that and try and be more, you know, proactive about getting rid of him. He's continued to be allowed to be, you know, very aggressive, and they really haven't had an answer for him just yet. They're bringing air jabs and all of this stuff, but to what, you know, what degree does it actually have an effect over Cabal? The guy's play style is extremely aggressive, in your face the whole time, and they just have not been able to deal with that. ADSs and everything set up for Oblivion on this defense. Again, like Cabal's play style and everything that's happened inside of this round, this is going to be difficult for Nordik to fight through. This is not a position that they're, you know, alien with. They're still got a very, very good shot here, but the bad thing is that Lackey's been on the forefront of a lot of these attacks. We could see some possible, you know, impact here from Storms especially, but Skies need to sound the alarm on that. 0-0 and 4 right now. Would love to see him pick it up.
Fucking good timing here on the gas grenades. He's going to hold back the construction push, if only slightly. He will have to eventually get himself into the fight, but considering he's got the SMG-11, that shouldn't be too much of an issue for him, as he has been lighting up shots left and right with this thing throughout the entire series. Knows he has Storms on the other side of that one, and more importantly, he should know that Storms has gone for the cross now, but in the process, Cabal's gone down. That's S4 once again being the hero in the midst of the round for Nordik, even though Skies look at the confirmation. Sticks out further there. Storms now just inching his way towards Baka, sitting behind the reinforced shield, but he can't fish him out, can't get him into the open, doesn't want to take a risk on just a protracted potential 1v1 there, and more importantly, there's only 10 seconds left. They need to inch their way into the site. Plant is going to start to go down, but will it succeed? That is the question here. Storms with another nice find. They try to cut off the other angle too. That won't happen. The plant will go down, but now it's down to a 2v1. Storms the only player left alive here for the attacking side of this, and it's not going to stay that way for very long. He goes down. He's going to attempt to withstand, but it's going to be far too slow in order to get him back up. Boomski secures the final kill, and with the defuse coming in here, we will have Oblivion's second round on the board.
Great stuff here from Oblivion. Again, it's those mid-round engagements where things get scary for this team. You know, like we continue to see those anchor positions fall off, and I really feel like it's really the mark of the same beast. They continue to sit inside of these angles that Nordik are pre-firing and just continue to lose out those gunfights. It's something that Oblivion also does on their defense, or excuse me, their offense, where they continue to contest those angles, but mostly pre-fire. And they just continue to die to those. We see some really good information coming out from Nordik in those instances, and it's just really sad that the early games continue, or the early rounds continue to be so poor. If they didn't lose nearly as many people early on, things would definitely be easier to transition through in that mid round. I know that's pretty obvious, but this is just a highlight of why Nordik really need to, you know, batten down the hatches and fight their way through this early game. You know, really put the brain power to it and be like, okay, how do we counter out exactly what's going on with these early engagements?
Attackers need to locate.
All right, well, Oblivion on the warpath here now, moving upstairs for the third and final point on their triangle, and it would be the last point they could get anyway. As we're heading into round number 6 here, a 3-3 very much in the forecast, but almost as likely is going to be a potential 4-2 from Nordik, which would be very, very powerful if they get themselves off to a hot start on their own defensive half, which will start right after this round. Hello, bird. Taking a look at the rest, yeah, just threw me off there. Oh, yeah, go ahead, follow it. Didn't even know that was up there. That
Dude,
threw me off.
Birds aren't real.
You're not wrong.
Why did they sit on electrical lines, John? Come on.
That's, again, very good point. Magic feet, I don't buy that.
They're charging, man. They're charging up.
They're charging.
The birds work for the bourgeoisie.
It's the government hookup.
All right. Well, apparently Oblivion's got the government hookup, at least in the early games here, because they are just blowing Nordik out of the water. This is some military grade, you know, cans of, yeah. Anyways, Nordik working their way back onto the map. It seems as though they really want to favor these drones early on here, and they're going to drone out big towers. So they're looking for where Cabal can possibly be, but this is the time where nobody's home, folks. Cabal's all the way over inside of Garage. Again, proactive instead of reactive. Cabal knows he's been there for most of this round. He's like, it's the last round. I should probably go somewhere else. And he would be right to do so. So he's going to transition on over to Garage. Still some really, really strong beginnings here for Nordik. I like their big tower take so far that we've seen, especially with Lackey still alive again, because I feel like he's been putting quite a bit of pressure on this squad. But they might run into some problems now that Cabal is on this roam.
Discover with the first pick of the round, though, for Oblivion here. Catches a player trying to sneak up on the kid's stairs, kicking him out of the fight. Still paying attention for big window pressure, and Storm's actually nearly getting caught transitioning over towards that kid's steps position. He's got to be ready to take the fight, though. Ooh, and it's going to be Storms to win it this time. Takes down Discover, finds the trade for the player lost moments ago. Cabal right back into the fight, though, inside of the basement. Finds Lackey, and still maintains control for Oblivion as they push up on what's about to be a 4v2 if they can confirm Storms. But if he gets to a corner, he probably is going to withstand. Oh, never mind.
Well, nothing an M590 can't fix, you know? It's kind of like a hammer. If you just swing it hard enough, it'll kill most things. So, like, you know, that was pretty impressive stuff there as he's able to take down yet another member. Nordik, worse for wear here in this last minute and 20 seconds. S4 and Skies, though, the two that are alive. Skies having a pretty decent impact on Consulate. Clubhouse as well as this map, not so much, but as John was talking about before, you can never count S4 out. This guy continues to find these beautiful frags, even from the hard breaching rolls. He pre-fires right into security, rips someone's head off. So 2 versus 2 now in between these two. Nordik still able to try and find some pressure up the main stairs area. Getting droned in by Skies now, going to create some pressure inside of Master. Plenty of time at their disposal, though. Still a lot of deployable shields out. Goyo shields as well, so these could be utilized by Nordik to shut off some avenues of rotation from the defense with those frag grenades of Skies.
Kamal still waiting for his opportunity to strike, although going to take some extra damage, putting him at sub 25 now. It was already very low. Looks like he took just an inch or two more there. He's going to go even lower at this point. Frag goes into the corner to try to fish out anybody from the defense that might still be waiting there. Not going to be the case, though. Baka starts to delay, and I think that was just his first smoke charge used. No, never mind. That was his last one. So there is going to be an attempt made here from Nordik. They haven't been completely isolated out via utility. Smoke's going to roll in, too. Going to roll just a tad too far, and at a minimum, it doesn't cover the stairs approach here. Baka, a lose-lose situation as he misses the opportunity on both players. Will get the correction here, though, or at least he's trying to. It's an awkward play to work himself through it, and ultimately, S4 shuts it down due to the awkward shuffle on the wall there. He closes it down, and Nordik get themselves a 4th round at the end of the half.
S4 had a one-way, and we couldn't even see it. That was so impressive. I don't even know how that happened. I guess the smoke grenade got caught inside the wall on like one of the studs and just floated.
It was on the other side of the wall. I know that for sure because I saw it roll. But
I don't even know how that happened, man. This guy, he just saw the ankles, man. You know, you got to cover those ankles up. So, you know, kitchen and dining going to be the very first site here for Nordik on their defensive half. That offense, very, very strong overall. And I think the thing that I love the most about how they played that offense, especially here on Oregon, is that they did not care if they failed on these executes. They wanted to try and force this case down, and they got the case down most of the time. It was Oblivion that really sat at the forefront of the aggressive side, right? And started getting those early picks. Nordik battled back, but Oblivion on the losing side of things when it came down to it. And you guys have to remember, Oblivion has not lost this map inside of stage 2, so this is a really, really big deal for Nordik right now.
Massive deal for Nordik when you consider the Oblivion map record as well. Not a single loss here since the end of stage number 1, and overall not much of a loss for Oblivion overall inside of stage 2 until they got into this relegation match here, carved their way through all of the other CL teams, and now are at risk of falling only one map short of taking down the actual Canadian division team, qualify for the division themselves. Nordik are 3 rounds away now from re-qualification.
By the way, that's the second time that S4 got a round-saving kill by just proning on the ground and hip-firing somebody.
Just chilling.
Oh, man. Listen, sometimes you just gotta, you know, roll the yoga mat out and just lay down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's true though when we talk about S4, like he's been getting all of the impactful kills in these kind of risky situations for Nordik. If they end up winning this between this map and the last one at a minimum, you know, he's getting the gold star for me. He's the player that's probably been having the most impact by far within this match for this team.
John, I really do feel like if you were a school teacher, you would totally do gold stars. That's what I feel like.
100% would.
Would you take them away as well? Like if somebody did something bad, are you taking stars away?
It depends on what grade I'm teaching.
It doesn't matter. I mean, like I feel like a lot of Oblivion has some gold
if I'm teaching
right
high schoolers, I'll take stars away. But if I'm teaching kindergartners, no, I'm not gonna take stars away. I don't want to make a kid cry.
You don't want to make a kid cry? That's probably a good thing. Oh, speaking of good things, Lackey gets a gold star. You can put it right on his forehead because that was a heck of a shot onto Cabal. Nice pickup as well, removing him from the field, and especially on such a strong operator as well. Twitch still is quite scary inside of those gunfights. That F2 has not changed up too much. It just has less ammo. That's really about it. Those Twitch drones can also be pretty potent as well, but we aren't really going to see the answer to that one as he's already, you know, lost the plot, at least here in round 7. OB working their way inside of the map now, has some top control, but doesn't seem as though they're too worried about what's going on the other sides of the map. Ferd is going to get caught off guard from some bullet holes inside of Attic and take quite a bit of damage for his troubles.
So a whole load of people across the server right now have been peppered with shots. We can see like 2 to 4 players have taken some hint of damage out of the 9 that are still alive here. You got Lackey, Skies, S4, Ferda, as well as Discover. Everybody's been a part of some fight here. So this is going to be a really chaotic late game just because of how low some of these players are. Ones that are specifically incredibly low are going to have to play passive, and this is where Ferda, I think, could make a big impact if he's able to line it up. We can see right around the corner should be Skies, who's one of those players that I talked about being incredibly low, but he doesn't know if anyone's around the corner from him, which was the thing stopping him. Now he commits to the inside of it, misses the player on the inside of security, though, which should have been a free pick potentially for him if he had known that, but no. Bosek swings out. It's the takedown for free. Knows there's potentially another player at the window, so he's just going to kill the one he down with a nitro cell for security purposes here. That locks it down into a 3v3 and leaves Oblivion with only 30 seconds left. But they're already close to the plant here. Locky getting another find, though, may inch them closer to stopping this plant from happening. But no, Boomski gets the commitment. It goes down to the ground. Discover's not ready for the wrap at yellow, though. And now Boomski's all alone here in the 1v3 scenario. He goes down. Discover's a couple seconds away from getting finished off here as well. That'll be the end of the round as Nordik are going up to 5.
Oh, this is going to be some major problems here for Oblivion. 5-2 right now in favor of Nordik, and their defense does not look bad in the slightest. Really, really strong there from Nordik, able to trade out quite a few things and stay on top of their man count. The utility game there from OB, not the greatest. They were able to get some picks around the shower area, but that was more of a botch from the defense more than anything. Just really didn't have any intel around white stairs. And, you know, they were able to transition through there simply because of that. But the plant's still going down. They had a really nice distraction going on for the offense, but the reason that things became unwinnable was simply because Discover just was not ready for anyone to be pushing up shower hallway already, and that was the main problem. They didn't have any intel inside of that shower area. They had control of it early on, but they still acted like they had it post plant, and they most definitely did not. That's the main issue that OB ran into. NDK take them out simply based off of rotations and having more people available for crosses.
All right, guys, so into a very important round here at 5-2. This could make or break the difference here. This could set up a potential winning lead for Nordik. It can also bring Oblivion right back into this game and start to close the gap as well. Basement setup is going to be the name of the game here. A big change-up between the two teams is going to be the fact that there is a Goyo in play here for Nordik, whereas we didn't see that for Oblivion. Goyo is what we generally expect to see. Oblivion were missing it from their own setup. It's not going to be the case for Nordik. This is much more, I know I've said it a couple times before, it's kind of an overused word, but this is like the standard setup here that I've come to see at least a lot of teams run on this site.
You know, honestly, I feel like one of the best memes of all time that Rody has ever used on us, as well as Parker and Kicks, is Property Brothers, because we all just talk about how people set up their houses and if we like it or not. That's it. That's really it. I was like, oh no, I'd flip that. I hate that sink. I don't think that sink's good. We need to get rid of that sink. But like,
we'll be really good if like House Flipping Simulator ever goes for esports. You know, they've already started doing that. I know there's a farming simulator league, and that's surprisingly in depth, by the way. Like, that is not a joke. That is an actual thing. Like, it's very competitive, as I understand it. But
hey, man, some people are just trying to put, you know, hay bales on top of each other. Come on.
You never know, dude. I mean,
hey, man, listen, I'm from Iowa. I've seen it in real life. You know, I've seen the sport version.
All right, guys, let's take a look at the action going on here in the server right now. Slow starts for Oblivion, as you might kind of expect here. They're up against the wall a bit versus Nordik right now. This match potentially decides the next year of how they're going to spend their lives, so can't blame the players for being very, very cautious about how they approach the early round, especially Oblivion, given that they're on the attack and they're on the back foot score-wise right now.
Yeah, some major problems here for them, but it seems as though this has forced them to slow things down. Not seeing nearly as an aggressive Cabal here early on as we're almost approaching the halfway point. Some very strong positions here for Nordik, especially these Goyo shield setups. Very aggressive, Bozak especially towards boost box inside of Freezer Hallway. Have quite a few options here for them as well, but they're mostly just waiting on Oblivion and how they're going to take things. Baka's working on the meeting hatch, so this is already telling you that it's going to be that north take. They want to try and take through construction as well, but NDK have planned for this. They've got Jaeger, they've got Wamai, as well as quite a few things that are going to require explosives for Oblivion to fight through. So they need to get this hatch open, they need to get it open fast and start working on this utility game.
Trying their hardest to get that job done, and they might have just done it here, as now Oblivion starts to inch closer and closer to their execute. Bosak and some of the others very much primed to stop it, though. He was just getting ready to chuck a Nitro cell. It's a good thing he delays it, as if he throws it out anytime now, well, he could find some pretty big impact from it, and he might want to do it because the frags are flying. Oh, Cabal, though.
Get out of here.
Catching the Nitro midair, and Baka's frag kills Bosak. What a play.
That was so very impressive by both teams. Cabal still in it, and he's in it for the win. Oh, almost gets a third, but Sky's quicker to the trigger. Storms contesting Freezer now. This is looking like Nordik can possibly battle back. They still have some utility as well at their disposal, especially these smoke grenades that can come up quite big. But right now, Oblivion trying to set things up for a plant here. We just need to know where it's going to go down. Case currently on Boomski. Storms might get caught off guard, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Freezer now blown wide open for Ferda as he's trying to keep them alive. Boomski on the other side of the map takes down one. It's all left up to Lackey inside of construction. He rotates back up to the double panel, works his way back into supply room, but Baka's already got the cutoff. That's a bullet in and a round 1 for Oblivion.
Solid attack from Oblivion and as well from Cabal. What a play between him and Baka, pushing into Freezer there. The snapshot grab of the nitro cell that was being chucked at both of them, along with the very well-placed grenade coming in from Baka, really allows them to get into the site with some pretty good speed behind it too. Maybe speed with which Nordik wasn't expecting. As a result of that, their defensive setup starts to fall to pieces. They take an L on that round, and now they're going to rotate back up over here to Kids in Dorms after winning the first floor site on the initial round. We'll see if they can get number 6 on this site instead.
Yeah, headed up to Kids for this one, but as you were talking about in that last round, Nordik just really not having a horse in the race when it came down to it. The site execute was too harsh for OB. They simply just contested construction in any means necessary, or excuse me, Freezer in any means necessary. It was a really, really strong start for them. They got that mid-floor control quite early on, especially off of their initial drone game. They already knew what was going on around that area, so they were able to practically just bully their way down the Freezer Hall stairs. Already had control of that. Didn't have to fuss too much over it either. They got rid of the Goyo shields as well as a really well-placed shot by Cabal that we saw into that C4 that blew things wide open. Cabal's impact knows no bounds on that previous round.
All right, guys. Away from the rest of the reinforcements that are being done right now. Nothing looking too crazy here for the Nordic setup. We are going to see reinforcements going into kitchen again. This is going to allow Bossack or someone else on the Nordic roster to play to the inside of that and continue to maintain a relatively aggressive roam game. That'll be kind of the home base for roam games with inside of this round specifically.
All right, well, living out onto the field now. Let's see if they can try and link some rounds together because they desperately need it. Remember, Oblivion have not lost this map yet inside of stage 2, so to battle back right now is more than likely going to be one of the biggest deals of a lot of these players' career. This is for the chance to get into Canadian Pro League and knock Nordik out of PL. So Oblivion, lots on their plate right now. Let's see if they can try and force something to happen under this pressure. Discover having a pretty decent game once again, more middle of the road, just keeping up on him. Newest member to this roster once again. Just lit the entire world on fire when it came to Clubhouse. Kind of had a slow start to the day, but overall really solid. And I feel like that's been Oblivion in a nutshell overall today. All except for really Cabal. He's been trying to make impactful plays across the board. It just seems as though he hasn't been nearly as potent as he was prior.
So the first minute of the round having gone by, it's remained relatively quiet so far here. Cabal and Boomski, of course, already moving on to the inside of Master. No resistance there whatsoever, despite having kind of the capability to contest it here on the Nordic side. So Cabal and a couple other players, like I said, with Boomski being the most prevalent one, they're going to be able to walk right up and already going to work to try and break open some of these walls here. Impacts are going through. It's only gotten that side one, though, as the others go off without too much of a hitch.
That's actually extremely solid for Nordik and what they need to do, because that's going to save quite a few of S4's discs here. You can put him on the far side, but now he's going to run into this issue. An extra Selma charge goes down, and all of a sudden the game has changed. He has 2 separate holes that he can access at any given time, and lots of crosses available to Boomski. So Cabal and the rest of Oblivion need to try and force their way into this site now, but they need some picks, and that's the main problem. Discover's already been taken down, so already down a man. They don't necessarily want to try and lose these fights. S4 with a nice adjustment rips Cabal to shreds, and now all of a sudden they need someone to step up to the plate. Will that person be Boomski? Takes down S4, but still doesn't equalize on this man count. They're holding around these doors simply because of these Banshees trying to work their way in. Ferda gets aggressive but gets taken down from Attic. Lackey with 2 beautiful headshots back to back. Frag grenade in from Baka does some damage onto Bosek inside of Kids Dorms, but it's more than likely going to be too little too late. Pre-fires so much damage onto Storms, and there's no way he was expecting that, but Storms ready now, sets up the angle, takes down Baka, and Nordik push it to map, match, and PL point.
Great counterplay attempt coming in there from Baka, but unfortunately just a little bit too little too late. Lackey with his hold. He was the big player right there, picking up the double kill from deep sight. didn't get noticed, didn't more than likely get droned out by the attackers, and that's the death knell for them on that round right there. That's what causes them to falter and ultimately lose the rest of the pressure they would have needed to get into the sights. This goes to the wire now, folks. 3-6. Oblivion have to bounce back, have to win these next 3 rounds in a row if they want to keep a hope of getting into the Canadian Pro League alive. Otherwise, it is going to be Nordik re-qualifying and re-attaining their spot for the 2021 season if they claim just one of these remaining rounds.
3 rounds in a row. That's exactly what Oblivion need to do right now in order to win here on Oregon. It is going to start us off with 2 6 picks. We're getting rid of the Echo, going to Goyo, and Habana is now along for the ride on the offense. So, seems as though Oblivion need to try and make some major impacts here. For Nordik, it's been the Lackey show, John. S4 has been there and he's done some crazy things. I think he has the most amount of impactful kills, but Lackey has really been the entry ability for this Nordik roster on both sides of the coin, continuing to contest a lot of these gunfights inside of that mid to late round, right when those execution happens on the right when the execution time happens for the offense, and he just steamrolls whoever enters the actual site. It's been some very impressive stuff from him so far on this defense, and I think that him and S4 really are going to be the 2 big problems inside of these defensive rounds. Storm's kind of slowed down just a touch, but obviously still can make a large impact whenever his name is called.
I mean, there's still the potential for him, right? Because he's still fragging up ahead of it, even S4 at this point, so he's still there. That's for certain. But it's just we haven't seen him make as much of an impact as, say, we were seeing back on over in the Clubhouse rounds, right? Where he was able to have these crazy roams and constantly countering out the Oblivion members in the process there. So hopefully we can see him get back to that, or at minimum find the necessary impact to close out one of these rounds. Because, hey, that's all that Nordik need at this point. All they need to get the job done. So let's see if they can indeed find the shutdown against Oblivion, who are playing this very, very cautiously. Oblivion, looks like they're going for a full small tower clear, unless there's someone roaming around upstairs that I haven't been able to catch yet. But with 2 players moving in from that west side, Cabal, the only one moving in through the front door to clear out meeting hall, I should say. That's going to leave Storms potentially in a hot seat here, sitting below on that staircase, as Discover is about to round the corner, but he calls it off at the last second.
Oh, the drone didn't see him. Storms might have a pick here. Oh, this is so very dangerous. The drone went upstairs as well. Oh, this is a big problem right now. Nordik, as well as Oblivion, whoever makes this move first, they need this drone to come back down and see him. Otherwise, Storms is more than likely going to get a rotation off here. Waiting for the door right now. Moves in. Oh, gets Baka for free. That's not the peek you should have taken. That's real rough there. Maverick off the board. They're down to 1 hard breach.
Storms knew he was on camera for that one, so he just starts spinning. Going to bring us down into a very, very rough situation here from Oblivion, having to fight on the back foot yet again on match point now. They need to bring back this 4v5 scenario here after Storms finds a very, very good first initial kill for his team within the round. Ferda going to start the push, working his way downstairs to the inside of Freezer here. We'll use some of the utility in order to clear this out. It was not going to work out as much as they would have hoped, as unfortunately there are some discs eating that, so they'll have to walk their way towards this and clear it out manually. Be punching that in a second, but Bosak on the angle, ready to take these guys down if they try to swing any further.
Nitro Cell's still in the pockets of a lot of these defensive members, and this is going to be the biggest obstacle for Oblivion, as Storms is going to continue to contest Freezer from the shield. Boost box taken up. S4 off of a different angle, but they were ready for that one as well. All of a sudden, equalized. Bozak gets a nice Nitro Cell kill. Storm's trying to follow through inside of Freezer, but nothing too much just yet. Nitro Cell out. Can he get it? No, it's Discover first to take one down. Bozak trying to contest long, as Boomski's got Case inside of Laundry. They really need this plant to go down, and that's why they need Ferda to get aggressive. He gets 2. Oblivion all over the board, but Lackey's trying to shut it down. It doesn't matter. Oblivion stay inside of this one off the back of some very aggressive efforts.
Nordik trying so hard to delay it, it seems, often choosing utility over gunfights in a lot of those situations, and is just not able to hold on. It was so close. That really could have gone either way, up until we see Ferda's final frags start to roll in. That seals the deal, opens up so much more possibility for the rest of Oblivion to swing out and take site control at that point and eventually close things down. So very, very well done by Ferda in order to push his team past that very, very scary point in the round, where at least in my eyes, we could have seen it gone either way.
Yeah, that was very pivotal, almost like a teeter-totter, right? You really don't know which way it's going to fall, and then all of a sudden Ferda gets 2 kills, and it becomes blaringly obvious. So, I would just say that overall, Oblivion did a great job of choking down what Nordik wanted to do there. Nordik with some nice picks early on, especially onto Baka like we saw, but I don't think Oblivion's going to be making those same mistakes anymore.
Attackers need to locate.
Let's see if that is going to be true or if Nordik capitalize on things once again. We're back to the first floor for them to try and shut this down. Second attempt that they've had now on match point in order to get the job done. Nordik 1 round away from closing it out, but Oblivion only 2 rounds away from triggering OT as well here. We are very, very close to yet another comeback. In this case, it would be Oblivion's comeback here, finally getting themselves onto the board and, more importantly, potentially getting themselves the slot in the Canadian Pro League if they can upset here against Nordik, who seems to be in control of things, if only slightly.
10 seconds to go.
Okay, well, let's see if Oblivion can continue produce these rounds because they need it right now. They'll have a lot of opportunities here, but the thing I'm loving right now for Oblivion is that it is damn near equal across the board what they're doing for their squad. I mean, nobody over 10 kills just yet, lowest being 6, highest being 9. So the entire team being quite consistent. It's just Nordik now being, you know, or having more members that are making those plays. We haven't seen a lot of successful, you know, playmaking happen for Oblivion on offense, all except for that last round. It's really been a defensive-sided affair for both of these squads, well, but most notably Nordik this time, or excuse me, most notably, yeah, Nordik this time around. Apologies.
So taking a look how the build-up is going to work itself towards the site for Oblivion. There's a lot of emphasis right now on the attic push, as we can see a good 3 players stacked over in that neighborhood. It's not the entire show, however, we've got a couple more that are going to be moving downstairs in a second in order to clear things out there. But we do have the roam game, or excuse me, we do have the site game to play off of here, since we are on the first floor site defense, not the second floor, excuse me. We'll have the roam game up on the second floor that Oblivion will still have to try and clear out, or at minimum deal with upon execute. Saw Nordik able to leverage those positions very, very well in the last time the site was played. Caused a lot of problems for Oblivion as they try to take control over the site. Lackey reinforcing a bit towards small tower there too as he starts to fall back, just in case someone from Oblivion wants to run outside and go for a quick little late wrap in and try to surprise the setup.
This is a very, very important round for both of these squads right now. Beautiful setup here for Nordik, as they're finally going to get droned out up top, but an aggressive Twitch drone from Cabal that's going to get dispatched. So, really doesn't matter too much anymore. He does still have 1 out, I do believe, but none on his person. More drones in now for Discover, as they're trying to get some pressure up top on these roamers. But this is what I was talking about with Nordik's setup. They've got a beautiful setup up top with this barbed wire as well as the single panel reinforcement, because they can continue to contest Z as well as contested from multiple different angles. S4 gets 1, Boomski gets down, and this is where things are going to get extremely difficult. They were trying to put pressure in downstairs because they weren't getting too much going on up top, and now all of a sudden they're down 2 members simply from stepping into sight.
6-4, remember, Nordik on the edge of shutting this one down. Only 40 seconds remaining for Oblivion to try and change their fate here and preserve their potential spot in the Canadian division for 2021. If not, it's going to go to Nordik. They're going to re-qualify in just a few moments here. A nice adjustment from Discover, but he can't follow it up into a second kill. Skies trades it out, falling down to Baka and Ferda alone. Ferda with a free one against Storms will take him down. With Nordik having the man count, though. 3v2, they're up by 1. Only 15 seconds left for Ferda and Baka to make a play. Ferda trying his best to creep up from Kid Stairs, but he's got to be aggressive now. Hear the jingling of the barbed wire. Lackey with 1. Ferda trades it. It's down to a 2v1 now. And Ferda goes down. That's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Nordik re-qualify for the Canadian division, going strong into 2021 as Oblivion comes so close, but not close enough this time around.
And that is exactly why we don't play the games on paper, John. Nordik, the team that no one thought would win, all except for Veli at the last second, ends up edging out Oblivion and stay inside of Canadian PL. These guys have earned it. What a series from them, able to battle things out on Consulate when things seem so dire.
At the same time, a very well-fought series from Oblivion, their individual players specifically, Baka coming out in the clutch, as well as players like Cabal just being all-rounders here that were a real problem for Nordik to deal with. A very well-played series, but it is not soundly going to push them into the Canadian division this time around. That's going to do it for myself and Stokes here today, but we do have the analysis desk ready to break things down and talk a little bit more about this match.
Welcome back, and like Stokes just told you all on stream, Listen, Jesse, Jacob, I know it hurts to let your desk host out-predict you when it comes to this relegation match, but hey, I gotta give it to you. This was one hell of a game, and honestly, heading into Oregon, it looked like either one of these teams could have walked away with the win.
Well, I don't want you to talk about you having predicted it because you said who was going to win after 2 maps and not at the beginning of the series, so I don't quite count it.
Don't be hating.
But, I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to hate on it. The problem is Nordik really surprised all of us. We had Oblivion picked, both Jesse and myself, figured that the team from Challenger League was going to come up and win the relegation because that's usually what happens. The trend in relegations is the new teams come in and replace the old guard with new blood. Not the case here. Oblivion were way too aggressive, decided to take peeks and swings when they didn't have to, and Nordik played the long game, took them to a map 3, and made things work.
Yeah, whether it was Frenchie Magic or the inability to hold dorms, I think either way you've got to give a lot of credit to Nordik. They played really hard and a long series throughout this day. I think people were saying that this would be a fast one. You know, if that 15th round had gone differently on Consulate, then Oblivion would likely be walking away with the series. But Nordik stuck it out, and they won it when it counted. And you've got to feel good for them finally being able to, you know, secure their spot in next year's season.
So congratulations to Nordik. They held on and they were able to stay in. Jacob, after watching all of that, tell me some great things about Nordik. What did you love watching from this team all 3 maps?
Well, it was a team effort the entire way through. Oblivion had to rely on a lot of people who were putting up really good individual statistics. They proved that they can shine at a moment's notice, but Nordik didn't really have someone come through in the clutch very often. It was not nearly as flashy. I feel as though Oblivion really didn't, they weren't nearly as dialed in or cohesive as a unit as we were expecting coming into this matchup, but Nordik, they look like they can play lights out when they're all coordinated, and the only reason why they kind of faltered at times was because it seemed like they just threw a couple of moments that Oblivion were able to immediately pounce on. So when they're cool, calm, and collected, they can definitely show up. And the thing about this, they also were in last place. In their last series against Livid in Stage 2, it was an 8-7, 8-7. They lost both of those maps in that series by such a slim margin. So if we give them crap at the beginning of a series, the fact that they won this one after sticking it out is a really good sign.
Yeah, cool, calm, and collected is right. We saw that with their comeback win, map 1. But Jesse, there's a fun fact that you have about Oregon and Oblivion. What is it, man?
I mean, it's the stat we've been talking about, right? They haven't lost it at all throughout all of Stage 2. I think the story of Oregon and Oblivion is one that's fun to watch back on. You know, all the way back in Stage 1, the grand finals, they lost on Oregon to lose to Honor to lose Stage 1. That kicked them into second place, and then they come into this matchup, and all season long they've been playing well, but when they get to their final relegation match, it is once again Oregon that seals their fate. And I was really not happy with the way they held a couple of these bomb sites. Their laundry holds were fine. I've got no quarrels with their laundry holds, but their dorms holds and their meeting holds were really just, I didn't like them. The issue is they relied a lot on these castle extensions to put roamers on opposite bomb sites, or on opposite floors, I should say. And it's fine, I get the strategy there, you know, keeps a bit of a safe base for your roamers, allow them to go out and get some kills, then come back and survive. The issue was a lot of these rounds, they had roamers going out, and they had these roamers getting in gunfights, and they were either, you know, going for trades and ending up in like a 3v3 or 2v2, or they were just straight losing man advantage. And when you're trying to hold a bomb site like Dorms, which is so big, in a 3v3 or a 2v2, you just don't have the manpower to hold the entire bomb site, and it really does shift the advantage over to the attack. I thought Nordik did a great job of coordinating when they had just 2 or 3 players pushing into that top floor bomb site. So some mistakes, I think, from Oblivion going into that map and that bomb site, but it certainly is a story.
I'm just gonna say it right now, Jacob. I don't know about you, but I grew like 10 new brain cells listening to Jesse break that down. But to shift this over to you, Jacob. Take a look at the stats. Yes, Nordik won. Congratulations. But Oblivion, that was their shot. That was their chance. And unfortunately, they were unable to pull through. And take a look at the stats. Yes, you know, the newcomer, Discover, he started slow when it came to Consulate. But we saw some great play coming in from him and many others like Cabal as the series progressed. What do you have to say to a team like this that fought so hard to make it to this point, but unfortunately they fell short at the finish line?
I think because the Canadian division is such a new space for Rainbow Six fans to try to get invested in, that to scope out how good teams in Canada are is still kind of difficult because we just don't see them play very often. There's obviously less teams that are in the Canadian division proper, and the thing to keep in mind is that Oblivion were playing with a substitute. Discover wasn't supposed to be with this roster for Relegations. It was supposed to be a different player, so there's always going to be the question mark next to Oblivion for this matchup about what they would have been like if they didn't have to play with a sub. Nothing against Discover, absolutely. I think the guy held his own and definitely isn't a bad player. He played the roles that he was supposed to when he came into Oblivion. That's never a bad thing. It just, you always are going to wonder now, if this was the 5 stack that Oblivion had intended on playing with, could things have been different? And like I said, because Canada is so new as a region, we haven't really been able to put it on the map yet. So the question of whether Nordik is better than Oblivion is just down to what happened in that match, and there isn't like other data that we can bring in to correlate that result. I think Oblivion stuck it out. They played a really good map. The only problem is I wonder if that over-aggressive and sometimes convoluted nature of play, especially on Oregon, was ultimately their undoing.
All right, so our interview is currently ready with the winners on Nordik, and it's my man Storms. Let's get him up on the screen. Storms, if you could hear me, how are you feeling right now? You got to be relieved, man.
Yeah, I'm really happy about how we played, and yeah, I'm really happy about everything right now. So we played pretty well, except on club. Yeah, every player stepped up and it was good.
Storms, let me say this right now, okay? You're talking to me. I saw you after you won the first map. You got up, you was popping off, so feel free to let all that emotion loose. But starting with the beginning, I've seen that, you and your team, you guys had a great start and started to fall off a little bit. There were role changes until you all found your groove. Would you say that there's still a lot more to fix on this team, or are you guys just getting started?
We have a lot of things to fix, of course, but we have a lot of time since next stage. So yeah, we played pretty well. Clubhouse is one of our weakest maps, so we were ready to lose, if I can say that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to fix, but we still won, and yeah.
Yeah, now when it came to adaptability, we all saw the first map. I'm going to be honest, it looked like Oblivion were going to run away with it. They started off really hot, really fast, and you all had this comeback mounted ready to go. What happened? What was the moment where someone spoke up and said, okay, we need to make this comeback happen right now? What flipped that switch for your roster?
I mean, nobody really spoke up. We were a team who were slow to start. Like we always give 2, 3, 4 rounds, and then we come back. Then we start playing, and yeah, that's it.
All right, I like that. So now looking towards the future, you saved your spot. You're not gonna get relegated. What's gonna change next season? And what do you have to say to the fans out there that believed in you guys? I'm gonna let you know now, I believed in you all. Out of everyone on the desk, I've predicted you guys to win. So what's gonna change next season so we don't see you back in the spot?
Yeah, for next stage we're gonna be better. We're gonna work for that. We're gonna do everything to improve, of course. And yeah, that's it. We have a lot of work to do, and we're gonna start like in the next days already.
All right, I love it. Keep the grind up. Congratulations. Oh, by the way, I want to give you this moment to say thank you to all the fans out there, everyone that believed in you guys, and also I want to thank you for doing this interview with me. It was great talking to you so far, man.
Yeah, thank you. But thank you to all the fans. We appreciate the support. It means a lot. I want to say big GG to all the players on Oblivion. They are really good, really smart, and everything. They have everything to make it, except for their coach, yeah. But it's another story, so yeah. That's it.
All right, but thank you so much. Go ahead and celebrate, get something good to eat, man, and you have a great time. I'll see you next season, okay?
Thank you, yeah.
No problem. All right, fellas. I'm not gonna lie. So I saw him pop off. I was trying to get that energy out. But even that just seems like what this team goes off on is not, some huge speech leading up to a comeback. Is they come together. Kind of like what you said, Jacob. They're a team, not just individuals that are loud. They're a unit. I love to see it.
Yeah, and I think a big reason for why they were able to make it to the Canadian division in the first place is because ultimately of that team play. Something that we talked about while we were watching the game is that teams that are already in the Canadian division, Mirage, Altiora, and Livid, to a certain extent, have all been able to showcase that really, really hardcore style of just playing together and not worrying about what one person does in the hopes that they might be able to carry the round. If you can carry a round, that's a really good thing, but when you are a really, really locked and loaded, like if you're in a Vulcan mind meld with the rest of your team, that is ultimately the best foot forward, because it's not an individual game. You play this with all 5 players on the squad working together, and that's exactly what Nordik did, way more so than Oblivion. So congratulations to them. This is very well deserved, and regardless of my prediction being wrong, which I don't know if I have a reputation for or something, I am very happy to see that they'll be back for 2021.
Speaking of predictions, we're going to talk about that once we come back for this break, but ladies and gentlemen, sit tight, don't go anywhere anytime soon, because coming up next, we're going to have the finals for the Canada Division, Altiora versus Mirage. I can't wait. I know you can't either. I'll see you soon.